Hi, everybody. Welcome to another special Tea Time Network Live. I'm joined, well, if you don't know who I am, I'm the CEO and co-founder of the Tea Time Network, Ashley Reeve, and I'm joined with two special guests. Please introduce yourself.
What's going on, everybody? This is GYPJAQ on the attack. Brown, musician, activist, singer, rapper, choreographer, and just out here trying to raise the consciousness by any means necessary.
Black
And
power.
your pronouns, and
yes, my pronouns are all of them. So they, them, he, she, her, him, all of them.
All right, next.
Black power, y'all. My name's GAZI, and I'm the commander-in-chief of the Black Hammer organization, which is a revolutionary organization led by and only participating with colonized people, which is basically everybody but white people. So you can go to blackhammer.org and find out more about that revolution.
Right. Okay. Thank you for joining us. And everyone in the chat, hello. It's been a minute. Thank you, Henry. Shout out to the chat. So the topics, there's going to be a lot of topics because there hasn't been a live on the channel in a minute. A lot of people were going to be a part of the conversation, but they couldn't make it. So shout out to everyone that's been supporting and following. Ooh, honey, we have so much to talk about. Ooh, where do we begin? Okay, so I titled this The Origins of Homophobia and Transphobia in the Black Community. We're going to begin in a second. GYPJAQ got kicked off. So
I'm back.
Who wants to start? Who wants to start? So let's talk about the origins of homophobia and transphobia in the Black community. It's tearing us apart, as you see. So whoever wants to start, we could just get ahead. Take the floor.
You go first, GYPJAQ.
Oh, Lord. Okay. So it depends on how far you want to go back, but I blame colonialism at all sectors and corners of this issue. I blame false Christianity and misunderstanding and misappropriation of texts and misinterpretation of texts and the Congress of Nicaea and all of that. For the most part, what happened is generationally they started really picking at the psyche of the Black man and the Black woman and realized and having us essentially deculturize ourselves by, making us change our names, by forcing name changes on us and forcing the erasure of certain very African traditions. Some by which we definitely figured out how to maintain and adapt to and adapt with. But for the most part, I would just say white people taught us how to be homophobic, just like they taught us how to hate each other and hate ourselves in every other way possible.
Puriana. Black power. I totally want to unite with my comrade GYPJAQ on that breakdown. And yes, it is colonialism, and we learn not just about homophobia and transphobia through colonialism, but even the basic understanding of gender and sexuality was introduced and forced on us. Because whatever we were doing is, free people on the continent of Africa and other indigenous places around the world, even if we faced certain similar struggles that you can compare to now, it's not the same at all because of colonialism, capitalism, imperialism. And for African people specifically coming into this world of our colonial existence, of capitalism, of white people, was really us being in chains and separated by what they put on the tombs or what they put on those castles, those slave castles at the court of Cote d'Ivoire was, man or woman, right? Female or male. And then we were split up like that, right? Based on being a product, right? A commodity, booty, an animal, right? So there you were laid out of what your labor was going to be and how you were going to produce for capitalism, imperialism, and that is the basis of what we understand today as gender as African and colonized people. So whenever we derive away from our existence as it has to deal with being productive or produced for white people, right? It's blasphemy, right? The religion, of course, explains that and promotes that. The TV and the Disney cartoons and all those things, of course, but that's on top of the primary thing, which is niggas, this is how y'all gonna produce and reproduce for the land and be a commodity to us. And it's based off of how white people understand humanity. Right?
Right. Damn, you're so I wanted to piggyback about did you mention about the cartoons Disney?
Mm-hmm.
I can't, but like I remember like how I was looking back at like all those old cartoons, not understanding, not realizing how they were drawing these people of color with big lips, big nose, talking like like it was. I remember even in the 90s seeing some of those, you know, on TV. So it's like we have a whole era of generation of people that have grown up with that, and I want to get to nowadays what we're dealing with now as the community of queer people of color, queer trans people of color, the fact that we're constantly being attacked, the obsession of queer bodies, the obsession of trans bodies. It's like everyone wants to know who's trans.
Right.
Okay.
like I want to piggyback off of something that GAZI said about like how a lot of the classifications that we stick to even today, since we are moving to a more modern homophobia and transphobia as it shows up, is still based on that level of like productivity, because you hear people consistently using somebody's fertility or some, like whether or not they can quote unquote create life naturally or blah 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 in their homophobic jargon. So that holds true even unto today. Like you can see where that seed became a tree, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, they don't even take the time to like realize how offensive certain things are to cis people by like trying to put fertility on the only reason why somebody should have a sexuality or whatever have you. It's like or be a particular gender. So it's like really crazy to see like kind of how that colonized mindset continues to flower and all the different ways it wants to perpetuate itself.
That's so 100, because what I also realized is like through what you just said is how in my experience with dealing with like cishet people is how confirmed they are in their cishetness, but like, or in their, being cisgendered and straight. They're so confirmed in that and so affirmed in that. But then when you challenge them on it to ask them about like how much have they even thought about it themselves to unite with that identity, like these niggas ain't never thought about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like this man, for like when I was in Atlanta, I was speaking at Black Gay Pride at different situations. And there was this one Black Gay Pride event at this hotel that I was speaking at. And it was for Black, queer people. This straight man was in there, came to this event, and waited for me to finish speaking after an hour and a half with Q&A to ask his question and to attack. I'm a real man. That's what he was saying. I'm a real man. So I don't know how y'all be deciding what you want to do and this and that, but I know I'm a real man. I said, sir, and what does that mean? What makes you a real man? Well, what, that you talk? Like he couldn't explain to me like what makes you a real man. Well, I'm man. I got a dick and I like sports. Okay, that's a man. That's a man. What else? What else? And he couldn't. He just couldn't break down what made him such a man. And then I told him, like, sir, you literally put your alarm clock on last night to make sure you were going to wake up on time, to get dressed, get your ass washed, get in your car, make sure you have gas in the tank to drive all the way here, park that car, find the directions to the part of the hotel where we were having this conversation, to say your opinion, but you didn't think to break open a book or think to yourself why you is such a man today. But you was ready to come here and fight down for your manhood that you ain't even thought about.
Right. Oh my God. Speaking of that, me and GYPJAQ had a whole conversation about, I was telling him about when I first moved to where I am in Brooklyn, how, you know, we used to shoot Tea Time with the girls. So I used to have, you know, a bunch of trans people come by, and like the trade would like, they would see all these trans girls coming by, and they would purposely know the time and day to stand somewhere to see the girls, to see Milan and Fox, everybody walking out in the heels, just to say, oh man, nah. Like, why do you come? If you don't like it, if it's not for you, move it along. Why do you feel the need to speak up? And you, it's like you want me to know. I feel like it's their mental illness. The fact that you want me to, you want to display as much hate towards me. So I think that you're not interested. When you're interested, the fact that you even come, you're even showing up to places that I'm gonna be to say something, you want, you know, you're thinking about me. Stop thinking about me. Get out of your head if you don't like it. But GYPJAQ, let's talk about the word cis, because I was telling you how a lot of cis people, a lot of cis women, a lot of cis men of color, they don't like the word cis. And you were breaking it down to me, and I want you to, if you'd like to repeat that, because
right,
you do not like being called cis, and it's an ongoing thing now. Don't call me cis. I'm not cis. I'm a real.
So the issue that y'all are facing is that it seems as though, again, like GAZI said, just to piggyback off of that y'all don't read, right? And it's not that y'all can't, y'all just don't, right? And y'all don't go and research things, because it seems as though y'all believe trans people came up with this term cis just to like fuck with y'all, just to other y'all. But that's not at all what's happening. As marginalized people, and especially as people that are people of color, therefore deeper marginalized in the system, we tend to have to know more things. We tend to have to be more researched, because we tend to have to, you know, in order to just live life, spend time validating ourselves to people who you know, are validated by heteronormativity. So, end of the day, what we as trans and queer people understand is that biology gave classifications for whether a person is cisgendered, meaning that they agree with what a doctor assigned them at birth, meaning that their biological sex aligns with the social norms that you know, people have put on that genitalia, and transgender meaning people who might disagree. Essentially. And at the end of the day, these are scientists that came up with these phrases, scientists that you guys respect, Western scientists that y'all will give your life, limb, and child to validate. Essentially came up with these terms.
So let's break that down. Scientists created the term cis. A lot of people.
Cis scientist.
I'm not trying to be shady. I'm just saying it in a way. I don't want to use all these big words. I just want to understand. Okay, scientists created the word cis, not trans people. This is that trans and queer people are just throwing on heterosexual people. Because a lot of people, you know, they feel like, oh, I'm grown. I don't have to learn nothing new. No, we learn new things.
As if trans people and queer people have historically had the power to be able to put out these labels and all of these things, right? These are not just scientists, these are straight cis scientists that tell the world who we are, right? They told us that we were mentally ill. We had to fight years against these scientists, right? To start to even explain who we are, the inches of space that we are given, which within intelligentsia world, within the academic world, that we can actually say, no, this is how life is for us. No, this is what we actually do unite with. This is who we are. And for us to now be all of a sudden have the power to label cis people. We don't even have that power if we wanted to.
Right. Or we have the power to utilize the term in order to essentially create a distinction between cis people and trans people. And that's not to say that there needs to always be a distinction, because, Miss, you're right. You are a real woman, but so is my trans sister over here. She's a real woman as well.
Yes.
So the thing that
real woman. I'm an estrogen. Estrogen is running through my body. I am a real woman.
Yeah.
So the only thing that we ask y'all to adopt cis for, and honestly, it's not something that you can say yes or no to. Like, if you agree with what a doctor said about you, if you have a vagina and you're a woman, then you are a cis woman. It just is what it is.
Right, and men and women, male and females.
Right.
We're all made of our mothers and fathers. We're all half man and woman anyway. To stop estrogen make us, you know, you don't get male, female. It's like, come on.
Absolutely, 100. And one thing I want to say is also like queer identity and trans identity, as in during anti-colonial times, because also it's difficult to use terms and, you know, social identity markers in 2020 and then transfer that to like pre-colonial times. But for people that were like us back in those days, you know, in pre-colonial Africa, like we were looked at as guardians and gatekeepers and you know, godlike things and nature. And we were, you know, a lot of people would come to us for if there was a struggle in the home, or people were fighting, or the men and women were fighting, we would be the ones to be in the middle to say, okay, this is what she means, and this is what he means. And we know
people who come from the world.
Yes. So like they took that all from us. You know what I mean? Like our natural place in society, which if you think about it, that is who we are, you know, naturally. Is the problem solvers, right? That's why we're telling them, they're like, I'm like just now, like I'm a straight man. And it's like, you haven't even thought about what that means, baby, if you would unite with this. Like you oh, I'm a real woman. You don't even, girl, break it down to me. What is a real woman to you? You haven't even thought about your woman that much.
Right.
You know what I mean? To be so confident in it. As queer and trans people, we have had to think about who we are 24/7, dissect it, put it back together, dissect it again, put it back together, disagree and everything like that, because we are in constant battle and war over who we are.
Right.
We have to defend ourselves. So we have to be informed. Or if I'm not informed, I will believe y'all that I'll become depressed and suicidal.
Ashe.
Right. Right. So
and I'm sorry, but I gotta bring it back to literally what you're saying. You, like a lot of cishet people specifically, have not thought about who it is that they truly are, because they have aligned themselves so greatly with like the assimilation of fitting into heteronormativity that, like you said already, GAZI, like they have also aligned themselves with their sexual productivity. So like even like when trans exclusionary radical feminists get on trans women for not being able to bear children with a womb and this, that, and a third, they essentially shit on their own sisters who might be, you know, vaginally born and woman and still like and are infertile or choose not to have children. They're like at the end of the day, you're still like putting your worth as something you're characterizing yourself as on how much of a human making machine you are, which is like
right. And trans men can give birth, trans women can you know, if they're pre-op still, they still can, you know, get someone
play their
pregnant.
part.
So
Right.
they go that route. So I want to move on to Zaya Wade. That topic. Everyone has something to say about this young Black trans girl. Every cis straight person got an opinion as if they know this experience. Being a feminine queer child, you don't know what it's like. Stop telling people how what should be done or how they should, raise this child. I want to get your opinions on this because for me, at 12 years old, I knew that boys wear blue, girls wear pink. You're supposed to play with car toys. You're not supposed to play with Barbies. And I feel like a lot of these, I'm a real man, or I'm that man, all these people in the Black community, it's like they're enforcing, they'd rather their Black sons play with guns than play with Barbies.
Right.
And wanted to have a conversation because, from Little Boosie, everyone has an opinion about this young girl. So I want to know, what do y'all think about the attacks of this young Black trans child who's, all she's saying is, I'm a girl. That's it. Everyone's comparing it to sex. Oh, well, if you support Zaya Wade, then you support R. Kelly.
Right. Where did they like what?
I've seen those comments in those memes.
The reaches, the Stretch Armstrongs of it all.
People are confusing sexuality with gender identity. This young Black trans girl is telling her parents, who are very wealthy, so she ain't got to worry about hitting the straw. She ain't got to worry about selling weed in the corner. She
don't got to worry about back alley injections.
All she's saying is, I'm trans. I want to be identified as Zaya. I'm not Zion. People are thinking that this is about sex. Oh, she's child, 12 years old. Why is she talking about sex? It's not sex. It's gender identity, not sexuality. We're learning. Everyone's learning. It's me trying to talk down on anyone because I feel like when we're educating people, we feel like, I don't like the way you say it. It's like we're learning because I didn't know what sex meant 5-10 years ago. We have to be able to learn so that we can all grow. So I want to know, what do you think, GYPJAQ, about all that's happening with Zaya?
Lord have mercy. Well, excuse me.
Within all the transphobia and homophobia within the Black community, people saying, I would kill my child if he was a homo, if he was a sissy. This is what we're hearing.
I think one, besides, again, another point GAZI made earlier, if people are not going to do research and read, they should at least start by asking questions. Like, I'm not going to tell people to mind their business because I don't think that'll ever happen. Like, just if we're going to be real, like, we telling people to mind their business is like, why would you do that? That seems like a pointless fight. Like, no, they're gonna want to be all up in your business. So, like, let's find a proper way to do that. Like, y'all should ask questions first because y'all don't know what y'all talking about, and that's fine. Person, by the time they reach 12 or maybe later, like everybody's different, has done enough self-exploration if they're allowed the space to reflect on themselves. A lot of Black people and POC in general are not really allowed the space to do much self-reflection because of certain circumstances they might be facing. So I'm sure there's, if not only a bit of jealousy, but just a bit of misunderstanding of the fact that someone could be so self-reflective and look like them. But what it is like, you've got to realize that, okay, let me just tell my own story. By the time I was 12, I understood the difference between what I thought I was and what I was, right? There was a time I thought I was a trans woman where I was like trying to figure out what's going on because there was this woman inside of me that I couldn't quite like figure out if she was me in totality, if I was like trying to play at a man or like what the tea was, right? But by the time I hit 12, 13, I realized that there was a completeness in both aspects of being a man and being a woman within me. And then boom, the ancestors blessed me with this Native American man that said to me, Berhadas. And he was like, look that word up. And I looked it up, and it's a bunch of two-spirited people in all kinds of different, like, reverse cross-dressing, if you will, regalia that was very representative of my own like fashion sense and things of that nature, and it just unlocked a whole world of things I already knew but just had to remind myself of, right? So that's all that's happening. Mm-hmm. She's literally done the self-exploration already enough to be 12 and be like, hey, I'm a woman. And if that changes at all whatsoever, whether she becomes two-spirited, whether she remains a woman, whether she decides to have surgery or not, because that's another thing. A lot of y'all are relegating this shit to surgery as though that's all it's about. Like, there's so many things to unpack with y'all. It's just not.
Yeah, just when someone says that they're trans, it does not mean that they're having a sex change.
Period.
Being trans is it's transitioning. Some people don't transition. You know, it's how you feel inside. Some people choose to reflect it on the outside to match. Not everyone, especially now, is just because they're trans means that they have a sex change or they want to. It's a soul transition and all types of transitions that are happening inside and sometimes outside. Mm-hmm. I heard something, someone was having a conversation. Ain't no woman having a 12-inch dick. So they were saying basically women don't have, someone made a comment online saying women don't have 12-inch dicks. You know, saying that women don't have penises. You know, some women do. They're trans women. So it's like, you know.
This is destroying their world, child. But like on this Boosie situation, I was concerned. Because what Boosie was doing is like some real child predator type shit. And I really think that he needs to be examined of how safe children are around him. I mean, the things that he was saying about that 12-year-old girl and her genitals, and how, you know, 98% of the video is about Boosie being stressed and very aggressive about what that child does with her genitals and what genitals that child has, right? And that he never met this child, but he feels some kind of like ownership on it. And then Boosie's other child, who was around the same age as Zaya, was on Snapchat saying, well, if I can hook them up with somebody that would do something to their dick that would make them straight again. Then you see Boosie having past videos of Boosie hooking up his child with strippers. His 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old child with strippers. So that's number one. Number two is Zaya's parents are also opportunists. And I see a goop when I see a stunt, and I gotta call it out when I see a goop and I see a stunt. Miss Gabrielle Union is pushing Zaya out there. Miss Gabrielle Union is taking all these bookings and interviews. Miss Gabrielle Union, you are the stepmother. Please relax. And then even Mr. Dwayne Wade has found his new brand and stick because he's a retired basketball player and he needs income to come in. And now he is on Ellen DeGeneres show and all these other shows.
Wait, hold up. Wait. Hold up. So the topic that I should have said is Zaya Wade coming out trans? Is it unconditional love or is it exploitation? You feel like this is exploitation?
Exploitation down.
You don't think that she's really trans?
No, I think of course she's really trans. I think her parents are some celebrity Hollywood mother effers that have gotten to where they're at because of their opportunistic ways. Trust and believe, girl. I've worked in Hollywood. Trust and believe. When Zaya came out to the parents met with their manager and agents. They sat around a table, ate crumpets, and put their hands together to capitalize.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, but maybe, but do you feel like, okay, I understand. You know, they probably had a whole like, okay, how are we gonna handle this? You know, but don't you think the goal is to educate the people?
No, I do not think that's the goal. I do not think that Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade give that motherfucking much. I really don't. And I think even the way that they're going about it, it's the Hollywood circuit. It's not digging into the roots and the history of the community and the things that we need and what Zaya really needs. It's going on a float on gay pride. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Going on a float in gay pride, speaking to Ellen and speaking to Oprah and doing all of these things in Essence and People magazine and how brave they are. Like, you don't get a fucking trophy for accepting your child. Like, first and foremost, like accepting us as your queer children, you don't get a fucking trophy for that. You birthed me.
Okay. Let me just say, I wasn't expecting you to call out them as well, this is the thing.
Call out my mama too.
To be honest, as someone who was othered as a queer feminine child, because I was othered. I will say, if that makes sense, if you catch what I'm saying. You know, just like there's a documentary on Netflix, The Trials of Gabriel Fernandez. I don't know if anyone's seen that. About the young Mexican boy who the parents, they tortured and killed him because he was feminine and they accused him of being gay. But the other two children were fed, they were well taken care of, but he was kept in a crate and fed cat litter because he was gay at 8 years old. And they were just torturing him. So I didn't have that situation, but I definitely was like, you know, told, you know, you could be gay, but being a girl, that's a whole nother thing. So I know what that feels like. So to see these parents accept their child, for me, that's something that I've always wanted and longed for. That unconditional love, like, you know, you can be whoever you want to be, even though they got the money to feel that way.
Right. Well, I think that because you can totally.
They look forward to their child carrying on this legacy. So I feel like a lot of our parents, there's so much expectations of us to be this straight man, successful, and have children and have a family. And, you know, there's so many things that they aspire us to be, but we got to live for ourselves. But it's interesting to hear your view, GAZI, on that, because I wasn't thinking that, there wasn't a thought in my mind that they were exploiting this girl.
Right.
You know, I felt like they were just on a media circuit because everyone's being trans is popular now. Everyone wants to know about it. Look at Charlize Theron. She hasn't even spoke about her trans daughter. She adopted a child, and the media is constantly
buzzing, and she don't say nothing.
She's torturing the child. The child wants to wear princess outfits. It's a child.
Listen, I never give a white woman kudos, but she don't say nothing. Like
she never
and she's visually accepting her child, but you see it through paparazzi. You don't see it.
Right.
Let me let my comrade talk. Comrade.
Oh no.
Go in.
Sorry, no. I mean,
thank you, algorithm.
Like I did want to get in there before like it changed topics again, but like when I change topics, to get to a different like part of the topic, like you said, they want to build legacy. And the one thing that I do think that is completely possible, like you know what I'm saying, I feel like we're doing it here though, is that like you can enjoy the results of something, like, okay, like, you know what I'm saying, end of the day, like, you know, there's mad craziness that happens in the world that, you know, integrates fucked up or whatever. Trust me, I'm going somewhere with this. But we still like enjoy some of those creature comforts because, like, you know, like it's what life is, right? And still see something for what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like you can we can see that there is indeed like agenda on the side of that family to make money off of this situation. I don't know if I would call it like exploitation to the point where Zaya's uncomfortable or feeling like this is too much. I don't know. We might find.
I couldn't compare it to Desmond is amazing. That's exploitation.
Right.
That is pure exploitation.
Right.
You don't see Zaya at the gay clubs stripping on the pole. You don't see Zaya, you know, hanging out with Laverne.
But Zaya has star parents. So the bag,
but she has exactly.
The bag is different and the contract is different.
is different. And at the end of the day, like, we can still see capitalists where they stand. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason to like try to take them out of this capitalistic bubble in order to like be like, yes, like I needed to see that not only for myself, but know that like my sister could see that too, and my brother could see that as well, and still feel some kind of level of upliftment or learn a lesson and this, that, and the third. Like, we can still work with this as a tool, you know what I'm saying, in order to help people decolonize. But like, to say that that was the point, you know what I'm saying? Like, that might be a reach, because I feel like that was the point. They would have been like I said, there'd be a lot more like different kinds of receipts. You'd see them doing research for people and putting things out there, putting out links, putting out essays instead of being on interviews, doing research, you know what I'm saying, spending their money to go back to the motherland and learn from people who are in all kinds of things, and giving unto our own people across the diaspora and all kinds of other things.
Shout out to all the queer and trans people in the gully.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Fucking, you know what I'm saying? You would see them doing that and really showing the reach back and being able to like decolonize multitudes of mindsets that don't realize how like oppressive their stuff is, from like the hoteps all the way down to like people who are Christian or whatever have you, and really say like, no, like this is us. And to think that anything that's happening with us has anything to do with them besides like them making us hate each other is ridiculous. Like, this is us, but that's not what you see. You see them just being like, hey, like, we accept our daughter. What you know what I'm saying? Which is like cute, you know what I'm saying? But like, and very, again, it's important. I can't say I don't feel touched every time I see it and things of that nature. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I don't know if I could align with that being the point of why they're putting it out there. Yeah, they love their daughter for sure and accepted her and all of that, but like, they could have kept that to themselves if all they were going to do is be an example.
And I think it also has a anti-Black spin to it, because it's these Black parents that accept their trans daughter, and it is such a brand and such a anomaly. Because why? Because Black people are just so damn transphobic and homophobic. Them ignorant niggas, they just want to drink and praise Jesus and beat on each other. And that's all they do. And Gabrielle Union and her husband are just like, yes, you see how they act? Look how nasty they are. You know what I mean? All we're trying to do is love our child. Look how nasty they are. We're trying to show the savage niggas how to live more progressive like us. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they don't even know, they don't even know why that aggression is coming at them. So they can't even, they don't even have the ability or words to educate the African poor working class masses, right? They don't have that. They don't have that. So all they have is their petty bourgeois, uppity Negro stance, which is, that's why y'all are bad and poor, and that's why we are rich and successful, because we are using our brains better than y'all, right? It's not that there's this horrific system out there, but so yeah. And I just also wanted to say that the whole thing about, I hate when people say, "Oh, well, she's just 12. She's just 12. Like, she's not supposed to be a child. She's supposed to be a child." But you pushing your heteronormities on your child at 2.
Right.
So not that because things that have an age stamp on it is taboo, right?
Or people that say, we don't want to see all that, it's going to make the children gay.
Exactly.
All the things that we've seen has not made us straight.
Right.
Like, when we, if we were, for trans people, it didn't make us cis,
That's that's their repression talking. That's them just being repressed and like can't stand the reminder how many times they had to swallow who they really was to fit into some white colonial fucking bullshit.
Ooh. And they push gender. You push gender on your child as soon as your child comes out the womb. You wrap that child up in a pink blanket.
Beforehand,
you have the gender reveal party. So pushing cisgender on your child, it is never too late to do that.
Okay.
But giving your child the ability to choose their gender, then she just gotta be a child. She gotta be a child till she about 18, 17, she can make that decision. But not now. She gotta be a child. But before then, you're pushing who's your prom date gonna be at 16. Before that, they pushing you in pictures with their play date, the little boy with the play date pictures. They so cute. Look at them kids.
Right.
I think it's
I don't give a damn about these kids. Y'all don't give a damn about these kids.
Right. Someone in the comments said Black people are very rough on gay and trans. Yeah, a lot of people, Black families, they kick the child out. You know, the queer trans kid out. They're homeless. Get into sex work, drug addiction. Like this is happening. I would assume that
it happens in every culture. It's just white people get the ability to like use their privilege in ways that allow them to make, you know what I'm saying, like things outside of those particular circumstances. Like they could get addicted too, but they'll get addicted to opioids, and that will be like protected under some shit where they're allowed like treatment for that, essentially like treating with opioids so that they don't go on withdrawal and all kinds of other things that like make it easier to then like move into a life that doesn't like revolve around that. So like same time, like it's, I don't know if it's Black people being more harsh than anybody else. It's Black people being harsh like everybody else, and the circumstances of a system that oppresses us around that amplifying the trauma.
Exactly. And nobody's trying to defend Black dysfunction. What we're trying to give you is a history lesson, because you focused on leaves of a tree and we're trying to get to the root. Because as long as
but I don't think that these people know history. They just see other people display homophobia and transphobia, and they think that is the way to be straight by constantly calling people homos, faggots, sissies. They think that that's what makes them that's what makes them that nigga.
But it's then
they hate faggots. They don't know nothing about sex farms. They don't know nothing about they don't know shit about that.
None of those things.
The images we see, these rappers, people like Boozy, I don't know who's listening to him, but we have all these people, these public figures that preach homophobia and transphobia to people. It's monkey see, monkey do, and I hate to say I use monkey, but what I'm saying is
use monkey.
I can see the comments now.
I got to get to this comment right here.
Okay, so when I see Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade, who is a respected Black basketball player, I would hope that this inspires other families to have compassion and understanding to their queer or trans child. That's where the whole exploitation thing, that just comes with them being celebrities and being public figures. I don't see it the way you see it, but I respect your opinion, and let's continue.
Wow. Okay, so this person that's saying
flash glue is literally melting, but
Blake girl. This person, Gary 0212, that's saying it won't happen as much in white families. How can we change things?
Wasn't listening.
It's like I love Peter.
But when people say that Black people,
a Black person comes out, you a homo, you a faggot, get the fuck out. Take that shit to the streets.
Listen, obviously, but look, at the end of the day, this prison system that is pushing colonized trans people in, we didn't create that, white people did, right? This drug economy that is killing trans and queer people, white people created that. The FBI and CIA created that after COINTELPRO to destroy any Black economics, dual pretending economics in your community. That's why Arabs and Asians own everything, right? So they created a drug economy, which is killing us, right? They created, the illegal economy, which is sex work, the drug economy, and the prison system that traps us in that, right? They also created the ideologies that your parents unite and believe with, because your parents were educated in their education system, your parents was educated in their churches. So even the parent that you hate has a white mind that pushes you out into a white society that beats on your ass every day, and you end up in prison or dead. So we have to call that out, and when we're educating and saying that, we are changing our community. Because what Black people have to understand is choosing the side of transphobia and homophobia is choosing white power, is choosing oppression, is fighting for your own material interest of liberation, unity, and revolution. So when we are calling out the white man, we are calling out the white man that is within African people as well.
I say,
my criticism going in on Black people.
Right, but do they see that? Do they even understand that them disowning their Black or their colored queer child Do they understand as a parent that that's going with white power? Do they understand?
They clearly don't, because at the end of the day, they are constantly saying that the gay agenda is us being gay, instead of the white gay agenda being the fact that y'all hate it so much. Like, to the point where y'all push your child out, to the point where you'll kill somebody for loving them. Okay. I can't with people that won't see that, like, with like the lunacy in that. It's lunacy. Like, you've got to recognize the insanity and how it, like, literally just the repeating yourself, hitting yourself against the wall for generations has gotten you the same result, except for worse, a bloodier head, a cracked skull. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've got to, like, really realize that, like, end of the day, the only agenda has always been to divide us, because once we remember who the fuck we are and we realize how much our people were about love, life, liberty, joy, you know what I mean? All the things that feel the fuck good. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say we didn't fucking disagree in war and you know, do fucked up shit. But end of the day, like our core values were very more unity based and less separatist and less based on scarcity and more on abundance. So we wouldn't create these systems that, like, act as though shit is only for some people. Oh, you gotta oppress me because, like, in order to oppress me, you feel this level of freedom that's only for the few. Because you've done the self-repressive work to be able to manage to be a part of that quote unquote few that get this privilege, and you're dying inside. So you gotta kill this trans woman that you love so much because she reminds you of what it feels like to be free, but you can't handle it. So you gotta let it go.
This person said, you make Black folks sound like mindless puppets. We're all mindless puppets in this system until we wake up, child.
Period.
All right, I'm gonna read this comment. Ari said, every time we try to critique problematic things in the Black community, it's always, but the white man did this. Like, fucking stop and take accountability.
Yeah. It's not GAZI.
Got you. So,
because I got two messages.
If we are an oppressed people, there is an oppressor. Okay, not talking about the oppressor. If you're talking about the oppressed, you are not having a whole conversation. And you must not understand what accountability means. You might want to look at the fuck up. You also might want to look what it means to, what else you said about giving people excuses. You might want to look what excuse and accountability mean, because you don't know what those things mean. We never said, because the white people did this, Black people continue to beat up on us and do whatever you want. That would be an excuse, right? We did not say the white man did this is colonialism, so now you don't have to do anything. That would not be holding people accountable. When I say you beating on me is siding with white power, that is holding you accountable. When I say you are now the oppressor, I'm holding you accountable, not only to the damage you are doing to me and my sector of the community as African people, but the damage you are doing to the entire African nation, and that you are tying yourself with Massa, and you are being just like him. And also, I'm informing other Africans around me that you are the enemy of the community, not me. And we need to gang up and beat your motherfucking ass, or you change your motherfucking mind. That is holding you accountable. But I also want people to understand that I'm very serious about when I talk about these issues, meaning I'm communicating to you through words now, but I will pick up the motherfucking gun. Because at the end of the day, you are siding with the oppressor. You are an enemy to my people. And if the education that's coming out of my mouth is not going to work, now I'm going to have to shoot you, lay you down, and use your dead body carcass as education.
As an example.
Okay.
Boom cat.
Can you get than that, sis?
Boom cat. Like.
Okay.
Period.
So someone said that the black folks feel like accepting homosexuality and trans, that it's a part of population control. That
we out here having kids. If that's what you're
like,
about, you're welcome. Okay, we're
out there having kids. We're out there fucking taking care of your kids that you take care of. We're out there like doing the fucking work in general. We're out there, you know what I'm saying? Like help making sure that your kids have a full holistic education in these schools. Like we're out there fucking affecting the next generation.
The person that wrote that doesn't feel that way. She's saying that.
I know. I'm not coming for her. I'm not coming for her. I'm coming for people with that mindset. Right, I'm not coming for you, Diva. I'm coming for people with that mindset. And at the end of the day, like you can let them know, like at the end of the day, these people are enlightening and uplifting our people for the betterment. And when our people really learn what it is that they are about and what it is that we are about, we will be only whole. Exactly. And that's it. We'll be whole. And y'all will finally calm down, hopefully, because like it's like instead of critiquing each other so harshly, so severely, why not understand each other? Like, you know how many like homophobic niggas I've had to literally like bust their ass or potentially die in order to sit here and want to have this conversation with y'all. And like let's be very real quick. Like y'all threaten our lives on a regular basis, yet we are here trying to like reason with y'all. So end of the day, when we say that our reason that the reasoning that we see in truth is not that this homophobia that you are exhibiting is an original thought, but an infection of whiteness, that we're letting you know that you're sick.
Period.
Right. I think
and we're saying we're trying to provide this healing and come get this healing or like die. And like it's literally just to say it a new way, like just so that you really get it. Like we, by letting you know that whiteness is the root and cause of the situation, are therefore trying to tell you to educate yourself further. Seek somebody who will teach you if you're not into reading shit on Google or fucking finding an elder with a really dope book or whatever have you. Like find somebody who doesn't mind talking to you. Hopefully you can pay them and let it fucking flow and get this information so that you can fucking know yourself and love yourself instead of putting all of these heteronormative restrictions on yourself that are killing you.
Woo.
Right. So I want to jump into the situation that happened. Indianapolis woman that was killed after exposing the two down low guys that she walked in on.
I see.
A woman named Jane. Rest in peace. This situation is messy.
It's a messy one, girl.
She went on Facebook Live and said that she was going. She walked in on a guy that she used to mess with, and he was having sex with his male cousin. And she went on Facebook and blasted him and said that she wanted $5,000. And I believe the next day she
was his cousin.
Dead. This happened in Indianapolis.
This was his cousin.
Yes.
Allegedly, it was his cousin.
Oh,
we don't know how many times.
Oh no! She was ready to expose his incest and his sexuality.
Wow. Yeah, my comrade Daniel's in here. He told me about this story, and I was like, first and foremost, she met him right off of getting some I believe it was marijuana from this brother, right? And knew him as a street dude, knew him as one of them dudes. Then she came back because she left her phone and saw that and was like, oh, now you gay, you're queer, whatever. So I can punk you to give me 5,000, da 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 da. And I guess she just found out the hard way that a lot of us here ain't nothing to fuck with. And I'm sorry, but you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have done that before that act because you took him as a real street dude. And there's a lot of us who are real street out here. So she learned.
Some men are down low and they will kill someone to protect that secret.
And I love what Matt.
Sadly, her life had to be taken for people to understand
that. And just like Madison said, I liked what Maddie said. Maddie said, so keep that same energy because y'all want to say, oh, the trans girls tricking people out here. And that's why, that they doing this violence and this other kind of stuff and trying to expose the men's, whatever like that, trying to trick the men's. Well, this is what she was doing and they killed her, right? The straight woman, right? She was here trying to goop and expose people and they killed her. So you see what this heteronormity does. You see what this DL culture that you push into the world through rap music and through the violence and through your language does to people, puts them in this place where if anybody finds who they are, it's their whole life, right? So now that kind
of which keeps them in the closet. You know, we see when someone comes out or says I'm bi, or we need to get into that the bisexuality topic. But when people come out, because a lot of people feel like saying bi is better than saying that they're feeling gay. You know, people lose things, they lose fans. Oh, when Lil Nas came out, there were people, well, he had a success story because it actually pushed his career in more. He got more from it. But there were people who, you know, oh, I'm not talking to him now, all the jokes about him riding horses, but they're still bopping to the music. I think that, you know, I want to touch this. Okay, so there's a lot of men that they are down low. You will never know, sis, because he is down low. Because I feel like a lot of people feel like you can tell someone's gay. You could tell that they're, oh, he a little sweet. No, there are down low men that are your husbands, your fathers, your boyfriends. You will never know. There is no indication. You just won't know. It's when the door closed, he's poking all kind of holes.
Right.
You know? So, and there are men that will kill to keep that secret to the grave, that they like a little boozy. You know, they don't want to go on Instagram. They're not at that point yet. But look at what happens when they do come out. There was a show called Love Is Blind on Netflix, and the guy told the black man told the black female that he was bi. She said, "Oh, why was you? You know, I can't do this." So these men are coming out as bi, and then they're rejected. So he keeps them in the closet.
They lie to him. Shit.
So what do we think about? GYPJAQ, what were we talking about bisexuality? The fact there was so much that we were saying. So
it's a difficult conversation, one, because like it's a difficult thing to define. It seems like I don't know. Like, I guess these are my problems with English in general, because I feel like words, especially labels, should have a level of stasis and strictness to them, you know, and therefore, like, labels should be very clear defined. There should be a very super duper clear difference between bisexuality and pansexuality and things of that nature. But as it pertains to how it affects the community, I mean, I will say I definitely used the bi excuse before I came out all the way as gay. And it's something that we do see, but that doesn't mean that it happens for everyone. Like, some people like both, and why shouldn't they? I mean, like, pansexuality is like the original sexuality, if you will. So like everything is just like more like rules and regulations that niggas added on, you know what I'm saying, for no reason really. You know, but other than that, it's like mostly like all kind of just like closeted pansexuals. But end of the day, like, if we can define bisexuality, then maybe people would feel better about speaking about it. And when it comes to cis women accepting bisexuals, I mean, like, y'all always talking about y'all don't have all these things in common with your men. Like, okay, both of y'all like dick. Like, that's something y'all have in common. Like, why not be, you know what I'm saying? Like, why, like, what does it actually do? I would love to have a question answered. What does it actually do to you that this man is bisexual? Like, what's wrong at this point? You know what I'm saying? If you're not homophobic, if you're not biphobic, if you're not transphobic, if you're an inclusive cis woman or inclusive cis person that doesn't agree with bisexuality and can't have a bisexual partner, what is the issue with them? You know, or can you admit
I feel like,
or like, what is the tea?
I think as a woman, a trans woman who's dated bisexual and pansexual men, I feel like there is that, and I'm sure a lot of cis women feel this way, that thought of, am I enough for this person? This person that is attracted to multiple genders, multiple whatever. And it's that fear of like, am I enough? And some people want to be with someone who for sure they know this person's into me. I'm not a front just so that they can appear less gay. I'm not a front for their family. I'm not a, nobody wants to be a beard because there are a lot of bisexual men and bi women. There are people who just sit at their bi just to latch on to the gay agenda, the coin, the rainbow bag. There was a situation with this cis woman, she's a feminist, Jamil, and she was she's from the UK, and that she was going to be on, she's executive producing and hosting a ballroom series that's going to be on Showtime, and people were saying, well, you're not in the community, so she conveniently came out as bi when she was getting backlash. So, hey, if she's queer, then she's queer. But it's just the timing. It makes it look like
capitalism
to advance your career. We can't help but see it for how it is. So there are people who are completely gay, but they sit at their bi just so that they can fake pretend that they're into everything because they feel like being completely gay is degrading.
Right.
Or it makes them less of a man or less of a human. Like, oh, I ain't gay. You've heard that saying? Like,
I feel like even when, like, me dating a bi guy, I would have that kind of sense too. Like, am I enough? Is he not gonna, be with a woman or anything like that? And then to talk about
because if you like pecs and I'm over here pushing my tits in your face, it's like I don't got no six pack and abs.
Yeah,
but
is this what you want? But you have to believe them when they say like, yes, and I can commit to you. Just because I'm, attracted to both does not mean that I'm committed to you. And then about the woman who people are saying, I know I see people that be like, it was wrong for her to die. But I also want to say that she did not make an ignorant decision, meaning she knew why she could get $5,000 out of that man. She knew that there was a society of violence there that would destroy, if not take this man's life. That's why she could get 5,000 from him, right? And then she went on social media to push that violence on him when it wasn't met, when that resource was meant to her. But that environment of violence, of anti-queerness, that she united with and also promoted against him, backfired on her through him, shooting her. So this is
a cycle of abuse.
Yes, but a cycle that she united with. Because to her, the knife was never on her, right? The end of the pistol was never on her. It was on Black queer people. She was okay with it then, but then when she doesn't understand, it hurts everybody. Now it's an issue.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot.
I mean, like all facts, you know what I'm saying? And like GAZI was saying, like, absolutely, homie was wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need men to definitely get some fucking like breathe, brother, and understand that like killing a woman should never ever be the fucking answer. Like, no matter what, no matter how she comes, no matter how she presents, no matter what kind of woman she is, none of that should, like, you should never get to the point where you feel like you gotta kill your woman. Like, she outed you for sure. Like, there's definitely like GAZI said, violence that can come your way towards that, this, that, and third. Killing her, like, not really the answer. No. Like, it's like, you've gotta, like, come on, guys. Like, we really gotta do something about that for sure. Like, I don't know what else to do with straight to the men on these kinds of things as well. Like, absolutely accountability on her side, because again, she was exploiting a system created by white folk that you know what I'm saying, would allow her to gain some privilege over him and some oppressive power over him. And he did what, he felt was needed to be done, and it was just awful. And we've got to stop. It's not like that I'm on the black crime bullshit, because like, again, like, everybody kills each other it's just hard out here, humans fucking suck. But let's get to a point where like we fucking like stop, like let's have these conversations. Like why can't we talk? Like why can't we talk?
Isabel, we're talking about the woman, the cis woman who outed the download guy saying that she wanted $5,000 or else she was going to tell his tea, and then she was murdered. There was someone in the chat that said that she dated a bi guy when she was in her 20s. Diva said, when I was in my 20s, I dated a dude on the DL and I dated a secret bisexual dude. And yes, it was that fear. I never felt like I was enough, and no lie, I thought he was going to cheat on me with everybody. And I thought I can't compete with a dick. If he liked dick, then he must not like this. Oh, so we have a cis woman. Hi, Diva.
Hey.
In here. And I would love if you came in. I can give you the link and you can just click it. And honey, if y'all want, shall we open the floor for people?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just love to offer this to any cis women that find themselves with bi people in the future, and hopefully genuinely bi people who do mean the best for you. Because I mean, like, niggas who cheat gonna cheat no matter what the fuck they cheating with. You know what I'm saying? But end of the day, like, is dick that powerful? Where like dick can just outdo vagina to the point where like if a nigga likes dick, he must prefer dick. Like, is vagina not popping? Because I mean, like, I'm a gold star platinum. I was a C-section baby, so I never touched it. You know what I'm saying? That's just like my tea. But end of the day, like, I like as a person with zero fucking like ends on vagina, like, is it not all they say it's cracked up to be? Because like I don't see, and this is like no judgment, but it's just like I don't see why we've gotta, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know why, because like the system has set it up for you to compete with each other, and it's just always in competition for man's attention. But you know what I'm saying, when you as a woman are intelligent and empowered and realize that that's not a vibration you have to align yourself with, what are you competing with? Like, niggas like chocolate and niggas like vanilla. Niggas like red wine and they like white wine. You know what I'm saying? Just because like a nigga prefers red wine doesn't mean there's not a white wine situation that can be had. You know what I'm saying? So like, if they with you and they're like, I'm committed to you, and they like, you know, I prefer some vagina. If they were truthful, if they were able to be truthful and say, yeah, hey, now and then I might need some dick. Can you handle that? And the person that can't give them that, you know what I'm saying? Can you handle, are you in it for some kind of like equity based on what it is you both need? Or are you in it for a story you made up in your head about how your relationship's supposed to go?
Right. Can anybody hear me?
Bisexuality and pansexuality, but don't, you know, have some type of like standards, you know, don't have me stringing along and you doing all kinds, you know, like, unless that's the setup. But hi Desiree, hi Diva. Thank you.
I feel like as a trans woman, I don't like to date pansexual men or bisexual men, you know, because I've transitioned and I left the LBG community behind me when I transitioned to live a more heteronormative life according to my standards as a trans woman. I'm not speaking for every other trans woman, but I don't really care. The only thing close to gay that it gets for me is like when I go to a little Vogue night and I cut up with my girlfriends at a ball and everything like that. But I don't live my life in the gay world, and I certainly wouldn't want to lay in bed with a man who wants to fuck another man. You know what I'm saying? I don't find that attractive. I don't find that appealing. I don't find me walking into my apartment watching my boyfriend bumping uglies with another hairy ass sexy. You know what I'm saying? That's just not my cup of tea, you know. Like at the end of the day, everybody has their and you know, I don't yuck nobody's yum. I don't yuck nobody's yum, but that's just not my cup of tea.
In here, Desiree has been on. She's definitely a familiar face. She's been on a couple of episodes of Tea Time with the Girls. If you go back, there's 70 other videos on here. This channel. She's
I'm definitely one of the controversial transsexuals.
A very opinionated trans Latina, and we So, what I would say to you, Desiree, is that you have to be open-minded to the fact
no.
that
You know, I get where you're coming from, Ashley.
Everybody. We can say to ourselves,
no, but this is the thing. Everybody,
guys are like women, but
this is the thing. Everybody gets to choose everybody gets to choose to live. Everybody chooses to live their life differently and chooses to live their truth differently. You know, I don't have to allow that. I don't have to allow a man like that in my life. You know, I understand where you're coming from, Ashley.
With a straight man. What is straight?
You know,
describe a
what is
straight?
What is heterosexual attraction? A heterosexual attraction is a man who likes women, and that's what I am, a woman.
If you just said that, that means you didn't actually listen to a word that Ashley was trying to say a second ago, and that's cool. But I would love to know exactly what Ashley was trying to ask you, or was trying to offer you, so that we can like really get to the core of the situation. Whether you choose to take the advice or not, of course, as you said, is up to you. I just want to know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley, can you say all of that again? Do you mind?
I said a lot. You want me to say what?
I know, but we didn't hear any of it.
The breakdown. Just get to the good.
What you were gonna what she said she knew what you were saying.
The same way cis women are cheated on by straight men that they seek, that are fucking boys in the ass on the low. A trans woman who's seeking a cis man, a straight hetero. Oh, I want to be with only heterosexual men that like women. How do we know that they like women only? Like it's a setup to believe that these men are exclusively for you. Mm-hmm. It's a setup to believe that you are just everything that he wants. So when you do gag and you find that he's fucking his homeboy, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. I thought he liked. So I just think we have to be more open-minded that we're moving into we're in a download society. You got messages that disappear, sis. we are set up in a time where downloadness, if that's a word, it's promoted.
Come on.
It's accessible for them to creep and fuck each other. Homie, nobody got to know that we're messaging each other because the message disappeared. So I'm just saying, we just gotta be open-minded, girl. I love you.
Right. Guys. It's like, would you rather be with someone who for somebody that is sneaking behind your back?
And then it also sounds like it's a little bit of homophobia in that internalized homophobia. Like, I want to.
I'm not internalized. I'm not internalized homophobia. It's just that's not my lifestyle. I'm not a gay man. You know what I'm saying? That's everybody has a preference. I don't want to date a man who has sex with other men. That's okay with me. That's okay. I have a whole lot of gay men in my life, but doesn't mean I have to partake with what they like in the bedroom, and doesn't mean they have to like what the fuck I like in the bedroom. There's a lot of gay men who don't particularly care for trans sex, and that's okay. That's why there is categories of pornos you can watch: gay, straight, trans, and so on. You like what you like, I'll like what I like.
I unite with Desiree.
I don't yuck nobody's yum.
I think that as much as we protect people in their freedom to be what they want to be in relationships, right? This is a type of relationship that also deserves its freedom. If Desiree is one that unites with what Desiree's terms are, then that needs to be protected just as much as any of the kind of relationships that we create. I don't think that's internalized homophobia or anything. That's just someone that is creating a subjective personal relationship contract with someone, and those are their terms. And those terms do not harm anyone if that's what they agree with, and that's what they are, right?
Agreed. No, absolutely.
I agree. But I believe that as someone who, I agree with all that. But
let me make one thing very clear to anybody who's commenting. I don't want to be a cis woman. I do not suffer from any part of my brain where I do not understand that I am a trans woman. Just being trans is not the first thing that identifies me in life. That is the second thing that identifies me. So all you little fucking trolls on here could sit down, because if you have a problem, you know where to find me in New York. You could pull up or shut the fuck up.
No, don't pull up.
And trust and believe, I'm an old school bitch. I'm 30 years old. Mama never walks the fucking streets without a little something strapped in my purse.
Period.
Right, because we had to. Because
they got
it. I'm an old school girl. I hung out with nothing. I've hung out with nothing but girls who hung out in front of Chi-Chi's. They taught me how to deal with a lot of you bitches.
Okay. So, what I lost my train of thought. Desiree, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
I want to get to Diva. She wanted to tell her experience as a cis Black woman who has dated bisexual and pansexual men. Diva, please, the floor is yours.
So I was hella young. I was like 19, 20. It was like my first serious relationship. And I found out maybe like a year or two later after we broke up and moved away that he was gay. He knew he was gay his whole life, but he knew his family wouldn't accept it. And he had only dated one other girl before me. And so when he came out to me and told me that, that he was gay and he was gonna live his life, my question to him was always, because we were living in Virginia, I came from California, and I was like, I went to Hollywood High, all of my best friends are gay. Why didn't you just tell me you were gay? Like, why did you allow me to fall in love with you and have this relationship with you and all this other stuff? His response to me was, he was genuinely attracted to me because I was really aggressive, and I kind of reminded him of how a man would be, like how I approached him and all that stuff. Like, it was ridiculous. So that was like my first serious relationship, and I kind of warped my mind about, those kind of relationships. And then my second serious relationship, the dude was secretly bisexual, and I found that out through some girlfriends. Like, they had seen him at the gay clubs with his friends and all kind of stuff. And when I confronted him about it, that he was or wasn't bisexual, he kind of just left it unclear. But I mean, I found out later that he definitely wasn't. I honestly think that he is gay, and he's just been afraid all these years to just be gay and live his life. It was different, and it was tough. For a long time, I think I kind of, internalized all of that kind of drama, and I did my own thing. I tried to just stay away from relationships and things like that. So I thought, what am I doing? Am I just attracting gay men to myself? I don't know what's happening.
Diva,
I just like this beautiful bitch.
Diva, no, you're not alone. Thank you for sharing that. I think a lot of cis women, they're embarrassed to admit these things because, like you said, it reflects on yourself. Like, oh, am I attracting these people? Is there something about me? But that's what I was trying to say to Desiree as a trans woman. As you heard, Diva is a cis woman that she's having relationships with men who are straight, but yet she's finding out these things that they're having sex with other men. So that's why I said, what is straight in 2020? When we say, oh, I understand, and girl, I feel like you're huffing and puffing and you're getting over me. Don't be like, I'm not trying to read. I'm just saying
I'm not huffing and puffing at all. At the end of the day, Ashley, me and you live two different trans experiences.
Right, definitely. Like
your truth is your truth, and my truth is my truth. And I take nothing away from your experience. You've been my sister for years, and we're always gonna agree to disagree, but there's always that love that's there. And me and you go way back since 2003, 2004, and everything like that. So me and you have an extensive relationship. So I would never take anything away from how you feel as a person and how you express yourself. Your truth and your art is your truth, and I respect you.
And I respect you too, and I always enjoy having you a part of the conversations. But Desiree, like I was saying, have you had a situation where you were with a guy who you found out he was messing with other men, but you thought he was straight?
I've dated the guys that I've dated that were in the beginning of my transition. Like I said, I didn't know where I stood in the community, so I did date guys when I did start my transition in 2004. With men who were because I didn't know where nobody really taught me anything, so I had to like move on this on my own. So I didn't know who. I just knew I liked boys, and I was a girl. None of the gay men that I were attracted to were until I started learning the difference between gender identity, sexual orientation, and I was like, oh, so there's really no place for me here. And I started dating outside of this my spectrum and into where I socially integrated into just being a girl. dating men. And but to answer your question, have I ever been the thing is a lot of people don't understand the difference between a crossdresser or a person who's who they think when everything under the spectrum is the same, being transgender, because it's such a big umbrella term. And then there's non-binary people, and then a whole bunch of other people. So anything today that puts on a wig and puts on some makeup is a woman, apparently. So I have to be politically correct. So sometimes these guys don't know the difference. So I thank God the guys that I've been in relationship with, I've been a very good teacher, and tell them, no, if you feel on the trans woman's chest, you'll feel the hormone knot, and that's the person who's on hormones, and so you can identify who's a man pretending and who's really a trans woman. So I've trained my boys very well, thank God. So I've been able to avoid that.
Okay.
Well, yeah, a lot of guys, they see us all as the same thing. We're all gay. We're all just plain.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about sometimes you have people who are perpetrating a fraud, trying to pretend they're transsexual.
Oh yeah,
we see it on Grindr. We see it on Grindr a lot. It'd be little Jose and Pablo, and he turns into Josefina for the night, with a little NYX makeup and a little NYX makeup and a little lace front he got for $40 at the beauty supply store, and thinks he's one of the girls.
I cannot.
Right, but that's what's happening. But at the same time, these men, they're for everyone, and as long as you have that mindset,
honestly, like I said, I've been lucky.
Them for what they really are.
I've been lucky to have the relationships that I've had with the guys that I have that are just cis and trans attracted and everything like that. Like my ex-boyfriend, I was his first trans woman and everything like that. And I'm not delusional. I know when a situation's a little too familiar, and I know when a boy knows already the thing. Like honestly, when I was with my ex Michael, he was openly and honest. He was like, he's had attractions for trans women but never acted on them, because he's a lot older than me. He's 43 now, and I'm 30. I was 25 at the time when I met him. So with him it was so easy to integrate and to be open with him, and I showed him things, and I told him about my world and what it's like for me to be trans and Latina. I honestly, like after the experience with him or whatever the case, I broke up with him because I wasn't happy emotionally, and now he's with another trans woman, and he's with another trans girl, and it just so happened the girl that he happened to be talking to on social media that he didn't know on her profile, because her disclaimer didn't say that she was trans. But he was still open-minded to the experience, and now he's in another relationship with another trans woman. And I met her. She's very beautiful and everything like that. I was able to introduce myself to her and everything like that, And me and him are still acquaintances. We're not friends, but I met his new trans girlfriend, and she's very beautiful, and I'm very happy for him. So honestly, like
she was cis.
He thought that she was cis because on her profile it didn't disclose that she was trans, and that's okay. She told him in private, like in a message, before the meet and everything like that. So, but he's into cis women, and he's attracted to trans women. Like I said, there are still men that exist out there that are heteronormative and are attracted to just a female spectrum.
Yeah, they're out there. They're out there. I think sometimes trans women and Latin women and cis Black women always want to point the finger and say sometimes that every man could be a little bit, I guess, funny in the bunny, as we'll say it. I'll say funny in the bunny, like the old expression says.
What's funny in the bunny?
And that we like to think that funny in the bunny, a little bit of glitter on you, a little bit of glitter on his shoes.
Oh, a little glitter in his tank.
That they think that every boy plays with other boys, but that's not always the case for every man. We just want to put those labels on everything, those labels on. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but that doesn't apply for every man.
But I think but like we say that about every woman, right? Like cisgendered women are supposed to dip in the lady pond during college, like play around a little bit. Like that is a coming of age for cis women to play with each other, right? But that's not seen in cis men. Why wouldn't it be? Like, why wouldn't it be a time?
Men have a heart, but you want.
wait, let me say, why wouldn't it naturally be a time for them to dibble and dabble and see what they like, and then decide to either stay straight or not? But there's a time in their life.
Look at the stigma we put. Look at the stigma we put on our Latin and Black men and everything like that, to feel ashamed about the things that they enjoy. Because even if when a man is attracted to trans women, when a man is attracted to
when we say things like I want a straight man, it makes a man who is bi, that does like trans, does like females, he has to now conform.
I'd rather him be honest, because if that should be my choice whether I want to deal with you or not.
There's that. I agree with that for sure.
Right, but yeah,
don't perpetrate.
But we can't act like a sister.
They can't find a girl at the club. They're jacking each other off. You know, they're high on Molly. I've seen it and I've heard it all. I have a lot of friends in the community.
I
see these things and I go, I used to think the way you think, Desiree. I used to think that, you know, oh my, you know, he likes this, nothing else. And then I had to learn the hard way.
Sexuality is fluid, child. Like
we're moving into a more fluid society. And
I don't fall into that realm. I'm sorry. I'm not that progressive. I'm not that progressive.
But listen,
I'm not that progressive, to be really honest with you guys. I really am not. I come from a generation of femme queens where I grew up in my
men are progressive.
But but this is what I'm saying. I grew up in a generation of trans people that you were either a gay dude or you were a trans woman. There's no in betweens for me. I do not acknowledge this non-binary shit. No, you know, I respect it for what it is, but I don't agree. You know what I'm saying? I don't understand it. It's not fluid. You know, it's not fluid to me. You're either gay, straight, lesbian.
For me as a queer person and my other queer friends, we can count on our hand how many real straight men we've met out here. Okay, a lot of these men that I am in the woke Black punk community, which is supposed to be very homophobic, very yada yada, but all these men that be coming around and stuff like that, you know what the deal is, and I don't think that's because there's something whatever with them. I think that's just people that are just trying something out sexually, or just have things more open than others, or are forced to be secretive. But we have to give people that ability to do what they got to do to know who they are, and not be like, well, then I can't F with you because you know that you have something else too, or something a little bit extra too, or whatever like that. Because you just force people to lie to you because they want to be with you and know that's your rule. You know, that's why for me, I'm not big on owning people. Like, I think, you know, slavery is something we give away, even with an individual person. And I have a problem with telling somebody what they can do with their body, and that will decide if they really love me or not. I don't unite with that. I feel like somebody can do what they do, whatever, and come back to me, and I'd be the main one. And what they're having with these other people, just other experiences or whatever. But nigga lives one life. Like, why am I going to tailor that life just to fit my own insecurities? Like, let me deal with my.
I don't feel like I'm insecure about anything. I just don't want. That's just not the kind of man that I want to lay in bed with. That's my personal choice.
Okay. We respect it. Let's move on. No, but I do. But what I will say,
old fashioned. She old fashioned.
A lot of trans women. There are a lot of trans women that they live in a
I am very old-fashioned, bitch.
I live for it. I used to be that girl. Listen. This new thing that I just said out my mouth, that is very new for her. But I'm usually a conservative girl. But like,
wait, what did you say?
I said I'm usually like a conservative girl. Like when it comes to like relationships, I'm a very conservative girl. Like I don't play with that verse. I'm just a strict bottom. You know, just like look, I'm just very like. You know what I mean?
You know. The thing is, like I said, you know, Ashley knows more or less what kind of person that I am, and I stand by my convictions, and I don't switch it up.
Right? No, you keep
you know,
it real.
I keep it 100%. I keep it 100% a buck. I've sat in transgender groups and somebody's like, I'm non-binary, and they're like, they, them. I'm like, so they. Can you explain this to me? Because I'm like, how many? When I think of they, I think of a group of people. Like, how many people live in you? I just really want to know. Cause I don't understand that. You want to have a beard and long hair, and then you want me to call you
day, and you want to wear a dress. We're living in very conflicting times.
But that's the word.
No, bitch. You want to know? Ashley, you're from Brooklyn. I live not too far from Brooklyn. I live in Maspeth, Queens. But I you know Myrtle and Broadway is the hood, and that's an old crackhead neighborhood too. It was a whole white man with a Justin Bieber haircut, a baby doll dress with some heels, hairy ass legs, a hairy ass chest, and he was pumping through, bitch. Years ago, I would have been so scared clutching my bag not to get clocked walking through there. And this whole white man was walking through looking like that and didn't get knocked once in his face. And I was just like,
but isn't that beautiful?
Okay. It's getting a little problematic. That is white privilege.
Isn't that beautiful?
If I don't understand white privilege, it is white privilege.
But I feel like that should be for all of us. But I'm just saying that, like, I think part of acceptance,
what happened?
You don't have to understand I think the part of acceptance in living in society of other people that are being their free selves is to understand that you don't have to understand everything, right? But you respect that there is space for everything. So you're not calling them they because you understand.
It's just so ass backwards. It's so ass backwards.
Wait, you're calling them they, so you're calling them they in respect of that space that gives people freedom to be themselves.
I just ask for their name. What's your name? That's what I'll ask you. What's your name? If you be like, your name is Jessie, I'll call you Jessie or whatever your name is, and I'll avoid a pronoun because I'm just not going to go along with it.
Now you're just going against the space of people being able to be themselves, and people don't have to respect you being yourself. And then that builds a trauma circle, child. So instead, we just do it because of out of respect of the space of freedom to
I'm not going to stay here.
So you say they.
That is honestly taking the forefront of what the trans movement is. Because she had somebody on her show Tea Time, and it was a whole I don't know what that was or what it was. What a Sega Genesis t-shirt. No. I'm gonna call it like I see it. I don't know what the situation was, but at the end of the day, it was not presenting like a woman and had the nerve to take off the t-shirt and show the breast like that was an identifying of their womanhood. And it was just like, girl, like if you're
but maybe that's her womanhood. That's what womanhood looks like for her, you know. I think that
but you know the thing is this, don't get mad at the word. Those are the same people who walk around in life and they get mad at this person calling them this name and that name. If you're not part, be ready for the backlash. So I don't feel bad.
Wow.
Okay. We don't live in a world that's black and white. You know what I'm saying? That's why I'm on the waiting list to get my facial feminization. I'm doing more plastic surgery to blend in more and to look more the part. You know what I'm saying? We don't live in a world that's so black. We don't live in a world that is black and white.
Let's talk about that. I'm gonna let GYPJAQ speak, but I want to also like start the topic on.
Yes, Bonnie.
We have, as trans women, we have a lot of trauma when it comes to people respecting us as who we are. We have to look real. There was a time where you had to look real to even be called she. Now things are different. A lot of the trans women are still, they still live out this new acceptance.
Are different.
Because we had to work hard. A lot of us had to get silicone. A lot of us had to do all these things in order
to. You better work, GAZI. You serving it for the bonnet with me.
And now you have people who, I would say, you know, it started with the white gay men that started expressing as non-conforming, and then we started people of color, you know. But my whole thing is, do what you want to do, dress how you want to dress, but be safe. Just know that we can't always do that in the hood. Be safe. GYPJAQ, please.
The thing is this, like I said, everybody always wants to feel bad when they get scrutinized, when they look that way. was, you know, she wanted people to sympathize for her, or they, or whatever the person identify as, or whatever they wanted sympathy, or whatever the case is for their struggle. Like, if you don't look the part, don't get mad when people call you out for not looking the part. That's the look that you opted for. Just like girls that get overly surged in their look. If you want an in between look, you better be ready for the backlash.
But like, GYPJAQ.
I mean, I just have to start. Hello. I just have to start by saying that two-spiritedness, third-genderedness, being on a spectrum that
is actually frozen.
Oh, Desiree, you don't hear?
I don't know. I can't hear nothing.
So try leaving and coming back, or
maybe
just listen.
No, she can't hear you.
Diva said, "I respect your decision, but
okay, then she can hear. Hey, everyone is. Hey, we're having a conversation. Please stop chopping up your body over. Listen, you know.
I think we're having a good and honest conversation, and I like when we have somebody in the group that does not agree, or multiple people that would just, because I don't want to hear. I don't like a.
But we have to learn from each other.
Exactly. This is a deepened conversation.
Okay, Desiree, do you hear GYPJAQ?
Hello.
Because I wasn't hearing nothing before. I'm sorry that I had to come in, so I didn't hear what was said.
Hello.
Do you hear GYPJAQ?
Hello. You hear me?
So you don't hear him?
I can't hear you guys again. I don't know what's going on.
So I was saying, just tell her to tune in, if anything, if she don't hear nobody.
Yeah, that's right. Just listen in the chat.
So, it's just needs to be understood how ancient these identities and these states of being are, how spiritual these things are. I mean, you know, not everyone has the same spirituality, blah, 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 but just understanding your own spirit and what it means to have a self-identity versus just being in a body anyway, and accepting those circumstances as they are, literally seeing your body as a building by which you can renovate and do all kinds of things is indicative of understanding yourself as more than just your body. So it's important to recognize the ancientness in two-spiritedness, in third genderism, in gender nonconforming, in a time where literally when humanity was starting, in a time where like there was no gender to conform to. So it hardens and is a little bit discouraging to hear trans sisters having negative things to say about two-spirited and third gender and GNC folk, because it's and leaning and glorifying their sense of lacking progression. And instead of choosing to be more to greater nuances than their own circumstances would have allowed them to see, without there being other people with different truths than theirs. So it just shows a limit to the ability to perceive nuance when you're deciding to not align yourself with something that has been true before there were, you know what I'm saying, these rigid rules, or before there was a white man to show you what it looked like to be a woman instead of what it felt like and meant within yourself to be a woman. And I think that we need to do a lot more shaking off of rules that somebody else gives us in order to then feel and be the way we are, and then feel that because we have essentially fit into these rules and done everything possible to fit into these rules just to feel normalcy. That we don't judge other people for being able to not have to abide by those same rules that you're so rigidly holding yourself to. And by all means, hold yourself to as many rules as you feel necessary for your life, because those are the things that you are deciding and might very well in your destiny have to adhere to live your best life. But it's when you try to tell other people that their rules and their lack thereof is invalid that you become harmful to your own community.
I'm a part of the transsexual community. I don't know about anything else. Those are the only people that I share experience with are other transsexuals. I don't have anything in common with a non-binary person or any of those other individuals. Like the transsexual. That's where I keep my distance from.
But being in a community of people that are essentially held up against a machine that would prefer you dead is something that we all have in common. So at the end of the day, we do have something in common that should unite us, rather than you being so rigidly hell-bent on being so divided against, not even divided in mere disagreements, but in literal invalidation of our existence. It's unfortunate that you would choose to spend your power in that way when you're clearly a powerful woman.
I don't really have any power. I'm not a public figure. There's a lot of other trans women who feel the same way I do.
Power is beyond what people
can. And honestly, my word doesn't really make a difference, because at the end of the day, I say one little thing and I'm entitled to my opinion, and I'll keep my opinion.
But nobody is mad at the decisions that you have made for your life, for your relationship, right? What we are saying is you can unite with that and what you want to be, but don't unite with the mechanisms that are out there in society that is bringing violence and death to others, right? Who don't unite with what you're uniting with.
But how many non-binary people really suffer the murders that transsexuals suffer?
I mean, constantly, as colonized people, as colonized queer people, we are all dying consistently, right? And then defined by
Ashley, could you tell me the factual statistics on non-binary deaths versus transsexual murders?
I mean, when you talk about gay people and queer people being murdered.
No, I just really want to know the percentages, so then I could be well informed.
And I'm going to inform you how percentages work, so then you're informed of why there isn't one. Got it? So the first thing is the statistics that you can pull about trans people and trans murders. See how far you can look at those statistics. They weren't counting that in the 80s. They weren't counting that in the 90s. They started counting that in the mid 2000s, right? That's when they started counting the murder of trans deaths, right? Because now the large spectrum of society and media unites with trans identity on a liberal, progressive kind of intelligentsia stance, right? Non-binary is a new identity coming into.
Can I interrupt you?
Let me finish.
There's somebody who said something.
I understand, but you have to follow. That non-binary is something that's coming into the mainstream now, right? So there will be statistics coming out of that. So you can see how many of these queer people that are dying right now, right, are non-binary, but we're all getting our asses beat and killed out here because of the violence that unites against queer people. And you're not even defending saying that non-binaries, you're saying that even your own trans community gets to be murdered if they don't placate to the rules that you do. If they don't present the way that you feel acceptable, right? So you're not one with your trans community. You're an enemy to them too, because you're saying the violence that comes on you, trans people, that do not live your life the way that I live it, that do not shape everything you do out of fear and acceptance of society, right? If you don't do that, because I have to work, because me, Desiree, I have to work so damn hard to be in this box. How dare you be out there and not be in this box and then die? Then you get that, right? That's because you got to do everything that I've done, right? To be like me. to be able to live. Because I've got to do all this stuff, because I've got this and this appointment coming and these appointments that happen in the back. You better jump the same hoops that I jump through, because if not, then you deserve to die. Because that means that you, Desiree, deserve to die if you didn't jump through the hoops that you jumped through. That means that you, as a human being, do not feel that you are valid enough to live if you don't follow those steps. So it is sad to be you, Desiree, because the real you don't even like you. You are you because the society demands that of you. You just said that you do these different things to your body and everybody else should, because if not, you will die. And if you die, then you deserve to die. Meaning
I love to pass.
Society loves about
you know, I'm not 100% passing as I get older, but you know what I'm saying, but I'm working. I like the old school ideas of the old school ideas. When I started transitioning, it was about looking to, the goal was to look like a woman.
Right.
It wasn't all these things that it was today and everything like that. And I'm not saying that you deserve to die. What I said was be prepared for the backlash that you're gonna get in life when you don't pass or when you overdo the look.
So what about girls trying to pass? What about girls trying to pass that don't get to pass and get the same ridicule?
It's a different time today. Like honestly, like there's no reason to not to take advantage of the surgical opportunities. Medicaid wasn't paying for surgery when I was coming up. You gotta understand. Remember, I'm 30 years old. I started transitioning in 2004. When I went to a Barnes and Nobles, the only thing I got on transgender literary was the fact that I had a mental health disorder. It wasn't what it was today. I didn't medically transition through a doctor. I paid for my hormones through the back market, and that's how I did everything. And I saw an endocrinologist, and I did what I had to do. And for me, it was about passing. If the girls want to look how they want to look how you want to look. But remember, when you're not passing, your look is going to attract attention. So don't be mad at the negative attention that you're going to get. We don't live in a very kind and forgiving world.
But then why should we accept that by not getting mad?
Be prepared. But I'm just saying, you already know when you walk out the door what's gonna happen. You already know what's gonna happen, so don't be mad.
Then be accepting of such a world that lacks compassion. Why not get turned up every time somebody is not compassionate and be like, excuse me, your whole stance lacks compassion. Miss Desiree, your whole stance lacks compassion, ma. And it's unfortunate because at the end of the day, you're literally trying to save girls from a world that isn't compassionate while you're perpetuating it at the same time. So what you're doing is moving no change in the kingdom, unfortunately. And that just is what it is. As long as you, like, by all means, keep whatever it is that you want to keep your ideals, do what it is that you got to do for you. And yes, in your time, y'all had to do what y'all had to do to pass. You felt like that was the whole point. And a third, but because that is not the case now, does not mean that you are obsolete, and it does not mean that these new children are invalidated, because these new children are just the old children coming back.
Period. And all the things that you just laid out, Desiree, that you enjoy now was not done for you by passable women. It was done by angry, clockable women.
Period.
I haven't benefited from none of these changes though.
You just listed all the different things.
I haven't had any surgery done. Everything I paid for, I paid out of cash.
You just laid out how now it's not as a message.
It's different. It's completely different, but I have not benefited from it.
That you enjoy.
I have not benefited from it though. I have not benefited from it though. I paid for everything out of cash, and I worked my hardest to get everything that I had to get.
That's fine.
Right.
Still, it is on the shoulders of these women.
Okay, so
there's also
depending on where you live, because that's real too. Passing does equal safety. So there is a level of, as a trans woman, you want to, when you're visibly trans, a lot of shit comes your way. You know, we're constantly targeted. So the goal is, depending on where you live and where you are at your life, to pass. Do you have to pass? Depending on.
I'm not telling anybody that they have to pass. But I'm just saying, what I'm saying is when you don't be prepared for what's gonna happen. The world isn't forgiving. Even in New York, we do have girls who do suffer the scrutiny.
That's not what you said.
You know this.
Yeah, be prepared. Be prepared.
You don't have to. You don't have to be like. You don't have to be like. You don't have to be like me. You don't have to live my. You don't have to live my. You don't have to live my ideals. You don't. No, no. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to live my ideals or have to live the way I want you to. How I think you should live. You know, everybody is this generation is completely different, but doesn't mean I want to understand it and be down with it.
But Desiree, you just said
I don't want to progress. I don't want to progress into what this time is. I don't live for it. I don't like what's going on. I don't like what's going on, and I don't like the fact. I don't like the fact that what you will call it when we have a non-binary person come out in the forefront. They're speaking for me and my experience. You don't know my experience as a transsexual. You don't know my experience as a transsexual.
That has happened. That has happened, and that's real.
But who's mitigating that and who's propagating that?
Oh,
white GNC people.
Of course,
So let's call a thing a thing. You're not speaking to any white GNC people here, so really, like, your issue is with whiteness as usual. Whiteness insisting on itself, whiteness taking over the conversation, whiteness saying that its way is the only way and the way that speaks for everybody. That's not something any black person that is
right. So what GYPJAQ is saying that, Desiree, when we see these non-binary people getting booked as the trans face, it is from white queer people that are doing that to erase black and brown trans women.
But wasn't that person that was on your show wasn't a white person? It was a black girl.
Well, yeah, and she's a trans woman. She may not be that progressed, but she's still trans.
This person identified as non-binary though.
She presents as non-binary, but she is a trans woman. Let's let Malaysia, she's a trans woman. She's been sitting in here quiet. Please unmute your mic, Malaysia. Please pronounce your name and speak up, sis. If you can get on camera, that'll be great.
I'm not dressed for camera, but I see my chief up here, so I gotta shout him out. But I am a Black African American woman. So let me just state this. Listening to this whole conversation is one of the reasons why I don't have these types of talk. Because the hate within the hate and then the divide within the divide will always keep us down. You have to understand that the whole principality of it is that we're stronger together than separate. Miss Desiree, I understand your pain and I understand your hurt and I get where you're coming from. But at the end of the day, you are truly only perpetuating the fact that blacks gotta hate blacks and kill us all. No matter if you're sucking dick or eating pussy, it don't matter. That's all you're doing. At the end of the day, when it comes to my comrade Diva, who had the experience with the down low guy and then the bisexual guy, I just got over a whole spiritual healing process with a sister that went through the same. And I had to let her understand that, as the gentleman said, it's all about spirituality, right? Society sees masculinity as the stronger sexuality, but in reality, it's the feminine energy that is the stronger.
Preach it down.
So when you are in a bisexual man or down low man is attracted to that feminine energy, he's attracted to that stronger masculinity type of energy. So that's how we got to understand it. Let's get away from the labels. I'm gay, I'm straight, I'm trans, I'm non-binary, or whatever it is. What you identify is with your spiritual energy of either masculine or feminine. And that's just the bottom line of it all. I am a Black African American sister. I don't like the word cis. There's nothing cis about me. I am a feminine energy, and I'm
oh Lord.
So wait a minute. So can you please pronounce your name and let's clarify? You're not a trans woman.
No, not at all. Okay. I like penis. I like to ride it from the front, the back, the side, the up, and the down. Yeah.
So you're a cis woman that does not like the word cis.
No. I'm a black woman. I don't like the word cis. No, I'm a black woman that don't like the word cis.
Exactly. So what exactly is your issue with the word, with the prefix cis?
Because what's my issue with it is where it came from. It came from the medical organization that does nothing but want us to stay in this physical state to where they continue to take our money and become rich. That's where I have the problem with.
So then, are you fully able to talk about trans women, make them feel, give them the carte blanche as women that they also deserve, and still be able to discern the differences and the distinctions when the distinctions need to be brought up without using jargon that then other trans women from the womanhood experience?
This is what I understand. I accept everybody exactly where they are. Who you suck and fuck don't make me nut at the end of the day.
Okay, wait. Okay, right?
When it comes to someone saying that they are a trans woman, if you identify as being a woman, I respect that full-heartedly. It's not my place to tell you you're wrong, you're right. For those that believe in God and heaven or hell, I don't have the ability to put you in neither. So I can't judge you on nothing that you do. What you identify as,
if you're a spiritual person, I can respect that to some degree, sure. I think when we speak of things of the body, as we must still, in order to communicate things well with each other, there are times in which a distinction needs to be made from people who were born and grew up agreeing with the things that they were born with, and people who might have some level of disagreement without having to say all of those words. So cis is not something that, at least as we utilize as a tool for the conversation that needs to be, is not meant to other you. It's meant to distinguish from another experience of womanhood so that the conversation can be had and understanding can be had, so that the majority of the people who are not yet at your spiritual evolution can begin to understand things from a perspective that they understand it, and then let the labels go. You understand? So it's not.
I can't agree, but then you have to respect the fact that I don't want to be labeled or called cis. So then we have to learn to agree to disagree.
So my thing is then how do you make the distinction in those conversations? Can you offer up an alternative, more spiritually affirming word that allows both people to feel affirmed in their womanhood?
Sure. Hello, brother. Hello, sister. Hello, Jack, Peter, Paul, Mary. Yeah, absolutely. I just don't like being called a cis. I am a Black woman. Everyone got their name from a woman, they game from a woman. Everything is from a woman, and I'm saying woman in retrospect to the feminine energy, not necessarily the vagina or lack thereof that is in the leg.
I think the issue is that I hear the echo, sorry. But like with people that are assigned straight, people that are assigned a gender and unite with it, that are straight, is that they see all these new labels coming, right? And they're like, oh my God, they're like Desiree, all these labels, everybody's this and that and this, just look at them, so crazy, right? And then before they go, they're like, wait, oh, y'all gave me a label, another label, sis. Like, I don't want to play this game. I don't want to play this game. Like, I see that's the game y'all want to play, but don't play it with me. I don't want to play that game. Like, here, take it off me. And we're like, no, keep it on. And they're like, no, I don't want this. I don't want this.
We use cis to tell the difference between when we're speaking about women, because
they know that. I think
exactly.
I don't think they know that. There are people who do know that. They don't know what that means.
The label. They don't want the label.
They just don't want to feel the same level of other that like everyone else gets to feel, like has to feel in this world. And I don't feel like we still haven't I don't think we've still heard you pronounce your own name, so I don't want to butcher it. But I don't think we've actually
no, I'm sorry. It's just Malaysia.
Malaysia, okay. I don't think Malaysia is like saying that she wants other people to be other. So like I definitely feel like I kind of get where you're coming from as a person that is looking at things from a spiritual lens. But like again, like there are times when like everybody belongs to a particular group of things just based on what it is that people have been socialized into, just based on what it is that circumstances have led up to. We can talk about things that relate us and then speak about the things that make us different. Mm-hmm. And with terms that allow us to really understand one another. And it doesn't mean that, because it's like if you're going to be that offended by cis, you should be that offended by trans, because the same people came up with the term. Nobody came up with the experience. You see what I'm saying? The experience is something that you go through. You know what I'm saying? So it's just
I never even knew,
and we can use. That's all it is. We have to use that tool in order to communicate with each other.
I never even knew what trans was, and I'm older than 30. I grew up with a trans woman, and you know who that was? That was my cousin. Now I knew he was a man, but that was just my cousin. His friends was trans women. There was no labels. There was no labels. So I don't see these labels that they speak of today. I grew up with Wayne being Wayne. As fly as he was, that was just Wayne. His people was just as fly as they were, but it wasn't, oh, you're trans. It wasn't that. These were just people.
That's because, but that's.
So I think what's going on is that what I respect is the fact that you come from a certain era and you don't feel like putting on all these new terms, all these new ways of life.
I think it just allowed the Black community.
They didn't identify or didn't call themselves trans, but today they probably would have called themselves trans.
I think that
I'm sure it was trans, but it wasn't what it wasn't a terminology that was so hated. It wasn't something that was hated and ridiculed, and it wasn't that for us. And I'm talking about coming up in the 80s. It wasn't an issue that I saw. It wasn't an issue that I experienced. So now we're in 2020 and I'm hearing I am a Black trans woman. Why can't you just be a Black woman?
Okay, I get what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that's the lens she's coming from. She's coming from a more within lens. So I understand, but it's like, okay, yeah, like maybe in your neighborhood or maybe where you grew up, the people that you were blessed to be around were that inclusive. But I promise you, all over the world, and especially up in the East Coast, in the Americas, and probably below the Mason-Dixon up in the Americas, like we did not get that same love growing up. You know what I mean? It's just that simple. We did not receive the ability to just be ourselves without having to explain ourselves to people. It is what it is, from gay to straight, from bi to pan, from trans to gender non-conforming to cis to whatever. It's just like we've gotten to a point where we understand that the lack of understanding breeds fear and fear breeds violence. Therefore, we have to allow you to understand in order to let that fear at least wane. So it's not that we are creating anything. The truth is that there was a lack of language for it in Western culture, so that language had to evolve. But end of the day, like you're saying, those experiences are the same experiences that you know them to be. You know what I'm saying? But now Western lingo has to catch up to something that we've been doing you'll probably find a word in Twi. That you'll probably find a word in Swahili for. That you'll probably find a word in Xhosa for. That you'll probably find a word in these African languages for that is more inclusive. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so. This is something that we just need to do for the time being in order to get to this level of understanding, so that the fear doesn't violence. And that's it.
So wait, hold on. I want to this comment. Kamaya Banks said, but as an adult, you should be able to acquire new knowledge, and when you know better, you do better. And I agree with that.
Agreed.
But I do want to say something on Malaysia's part, though, because even though I don't agree with that theory, I can understand where that theory comes from.
Right.
That the language came and then this violence came, because that's what she's saying, right?
Right.
That back in those days, the language wasn't there and people were just people. And this is not a mystical thing. This is actually true. If you look at the times of like a Maud Mabry and things like that, like they knew Maud Mabry was getting them girls, right? They knew Maud Mabry when she was out of Maud Mabry dressed in suit and ties, right? And had short hair. And you could think that she was a guy sometimes, like that was just that, right? And then the language comes because of these movements that are happening, right? And then aggression is built off those movements because people are forced to have the conversation and to pick a side. So you have people that are either in it saying, hey, let's just stop talking about it. We were good when we weren't talking about it. Now we're talking about it. It's so vigorous. And we're here saying, as the oppressed people, we want to have this conversation. We want to get to this other side, whatever, like that, right?
Right. So, I think we've got to also recognize that movements, for the most part, wouldn't happen if the violence didn't exist. So let's not act like we weren't like being pushed the Bible.
I think the violence does exist. I think it does.
You know what I'm saying? That we couldn't read
because of the atmosphere.
Homophobia is better than homosexuality to us from the jump. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like the violence wasn't there.
I'm just saying that it gets higher. The frequency does turn up when it becomes everybody's conversation and everybody has to make a decision.
Okay, yeah.
You know, it lights up.
Yeah. Right. So, Malaysia, I want to thank you so much for sharing with us. Anything else you wanted to say?
I think we should spread more love and come together as a Black community, because this is just ridiculous. To me, it just perpetuates the divide, and we ain't gonna never get nowhere constantly divided. I am a trans woman, so therefore I don't get the non-binary. That's garbage. It's crazy. It doesn't help anybody's situation. It makes you look like you're hating your own kind, and it doesn't help the situation. So do the self-healing, Miss Desiree. Get on this love train with
I'm pretty self-healed in life. I'm good. Malaysia, thank you for your input. My therapist says I'm perfectly fine. I don't need therapeutical advice from a person who calls their cousin a man.
Okay. So thank you. As indifferent as we all are, I respect everyone's opinion. But
wait, Desiree, wait. I want to say
and non-binaries are not the same.
But wait, Desiree is upset. Desiree is upset because, right? Because you're upset because that sister, she misgendered her cousin, right? You're upset about that, right? You're upset about that because that means...
No, I'm not upset because that's not me, but I don't need advice from somebody. I don't need advice from somebody who needs somebody advice on how to be in my life.
But you called it out as an error, right? You called it out as an error and was upset with it, right? So to allow us to have to educate that sister or say that is a wrong act, right, is in protection of you and your identity as a person. And you appreciate that kind of support. You appreciate that you are not alone in that fight, so that can get overturned, right? We're saying with that same appreciation, we want everybody to feel that same appreciation. We want non-binaries to feel that appreciation. Even if you don't accept them, defend them, because you're defending the space to be, which you are enjoying yourself. or we can't.
I didn't start my activism work to ban and rally for people who to ban and rally for people who are not transsexual. You know, I put in so much work with back when I was younger, like for the LBG community, and now I'm more focused on the transsexual spectrum, not anybody else.
But that's not how life in society works. That's not how an economic system works. They're all tied in, right?
You know, that's fine. They're all tied in. But that's fine that they're all tied in. But when I'm there at an event, I'm not there for anybody else but what I believe in.
And maybe that's just where the capacity is at, and we have to accept that that's where your limits are. And you know what I'm saying, let you live your life and move on to something else.
And that's valid, because let me say this. When a homeless person asks me for money, a cis person asks me for change, I don't ever give them. If a queer person asks me for change, honey, he's $5, he's $10.
How do you know they're queer? How do you know that the straight cis person that you passed, that you thought was straight and cis, was actually queer, cis? How do you know?
Right.
So you didn't really do it in your community.
I'm just saying
it like that.
It's on this assumption of possibility.
I use my better judgment at times. What I'm saying is,
thank you so much. I'm being like red to
people change and read me because I didn't give it to them. That's how I know. You know, there's people, especially in New York City. I'm in New York. Things are a lot different out here. Someone will ask, these homeless people will ask someone trans for $1 and then misgender us right after.
That does happen.
Crack
a fucking bottle over your homeless ass.
They'll ask you for $1 and then say, you fucking faggot. So
and I'll be like, I got some faggot, let me open my purse.
That's how I know. But there's something
like that.
I don't really get that. You know what? They always resort to call them, and when I don't have $1, they be like, "You fat bitch."
Yeah, like this fat bitch got money.
They always call me this fat bitch a man, dude. They don't even call me a man or a tranny. They be like, "This fat bitch, you look like you ate your $1."
Oh God.
You damn Skippy. I ate it before you did.
Oh man.
No,
that's what I say. I love your eyebrows.
Guys, you want to laugh when I get clocked? It's never like a clock that I'm trans first. They'll think that I'm a lesbian first because of all my tattoos. They'll be like, this fucking lesbian. I'm like, well, that's a woman still. So at the end of the day, you call me a man, so I really don't care. I can live with being a woman. I don't give a shit. I could live with being a lesbian. And maybe you know what it is in your older age, you go from stilettos and everything like that to shorter acrylic nails than to speakers and shit because I'm getting older and my knee hurts, bitch. Ain't nobody got time to wear pumps.
I think a lot of the divide that happens with trans women and the non-binary GNCs, especially the ones that can choose to present as masculine whenever they feel the need to.
Yeah, like this is not a
lot of us trans women. Let me just say this, please, because I'll lose everything I'm gonna say. Because I'm trying to come all together with what you were saying and like make this all make sense, where it's coming from, the divide. A lot of us, we are basically, I lost my train of thought. Every time I speak, it's just, so we want to be seen and respected as women. A lot of us trans women want to be seen and respected as women. And then you have people that they say that they're trans, but they want to be respected as a man still. So it is confusing, right? So then you have, there's a lot of trans women that are very sensitive about being misgendered. Some people don't care. You have non-binary people that say, call me whatever. That doesn't fly with a lot of trans women. You know, don't call me whatever. Call me, I am either trans woman or a trans man. Don't call me they or them. So I think that we were very sensitive about gender and how we're being perceived. So that's where I feel like it comes with these people who I respect, but they come in like, fuck gender, when we work so hard to be transition to.
This is how I feel. I feel the way what Ashley's saying. That's how
you get where I'm coming from, GYPJAQ?
And
I feel.
Like, my thing is like
as a two-spirited third gender person, I definitely need your feedback.
As a two-spirited person, I don't know if I consider myself non-gendered. I consider myself both gendered. You know what I'm saying? Just because of knowing, again, my spiritual role in this situation and how much of both divine energies I'm filled with. It's just like, that's how I show up in the room. That's how my work proceeds. You know what I'm saying? As from spiritual down to physical. So it just is what it is, right? I don't think that my claiming my womanhood in this space and knowing that because I am two-spirited and that's how I identify, and anytime I'm going to claim my womanhood, I'm saying, hey guys, I'm two-spirited. I'm not a trans woman. I happen to be on a spectrum of transness, but I'm not a trans woman and therefore cannot speak for trans women. But this is coming from a person of color who understands these things and not some white gay who is just trying to make a buck, or some, you know what I'm saying, white trans person who's looking for a way to be oppressed. And I'm not trying to say that there are no white people on the trans spectrum that are authentic in their shit, but a lot of the shit that we see in that situation comes from a capitalistic place, and therefore it's not genuine. So they don't speak for me as a person who might be closer to the gender non-conforming spectrum, but as a completely gender and binary gendered person.
And I take like offense when saying like, oh, non-binary people don't exist, right? Because like, you're tackling. But wait,
it's pretty obvious to see they exist.
No, but you say that it's not a real thing. You just
it's not a thing for me. It's not a thing for me. I know they're there.
No, but you just said that's not a real thing.
They're out.
And then you're like, what I call you? I don't get it. I don't call you.
They're
like, you're
out
dead.
there. I just.
That's how you're.
They're just not. Like I said, they're just not.
But then you can expect. Then people can say the same thing about you and your trans identity. They can say the same thing. Allowing that kind of violent language to happen.
The thing is this. Like when it's all said and done with my transition, and I get my facial femme, and I get the things that because of access to things that are today and everything. When everything's all said and done, and I decide to do gender reassignment surgery, I don't want to live. I don't want to live in the public eye as a trans person. I really
that's on you. I understand that's on you. But then
the thing is this, like I was like with things that are happening right now, there's things that apply to people and certain things that don't apply. And that the non-binary movement doesn't apply to me because I conform to the binary.
But nobody's saying because that something's wrong. Like nobody's out here like when people go out like, oh fuck gender, they're saying that for themselves and people that also agree with that kind of existence. They're not saying fuck your gender, fuck what your gender experience and your gender identity. They're just saying that the rules do not have to apply. But you want those rules?
But I want hold on. GAZI, I'm gonna let you continue, but I'm gonna forget this. But I will say this. As someone who is a trans woman of color that runs a trans channel, it has been, I'm gonna be very honest with this, it has been really hard to get non-binary GNC people to actually speak and talk in a group combo with me without them giving me the booking fee. So,
what do you mean their booking fee?
Oh, because a lot of them are models and, you know, actresses and actors and, you know, everyone is...
I'm not an actor, actress.
Not you. I'm talking about non-binary GNC people.
What's a GNC?
Gender non-conforming.
Okay, gotcha.
What I'm saying is that...
I was like, the Democratic National Convention.
I wanted to call in actual GNC non-binary people that are viewers to contact me. I want to have a group conversation with you because we're always speaking about you, but you're never here. You don't show up
here.
You're a GNC?
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say.
You're a gender non-conformist?
I didn't know that.
I think I know that.
But yeah, I created.
You don't know what they always look like.
You know, they look good. But no, like that's what I was saying. For me, that when people say, that
wait a minute, you just asked me what is a GNC, and then you said that you're a GNC.
once you explain what the acronym was, I didn't know what the acronym, but gender non-conforming, yeah, and non-binary. But I didn't hear people saying GNC all the time. I just heard people saying gender non-conforming. But like in our like organization, we have GSNA, which is Gender and Sexuality Non-Conforming African, right? So yeah, I've been uniting with gender non-conforming. But like this is something that I've existed before the movement.
So I didn't know that changes everything. So but I would like to get a group convo with people with that experience because we have to bridge the gap. We're divided because we don't have that many conversations with each other. And like I said, a lot of GNC people, GYPJAQ, we live in the East Coast. You know, we were just talking about Billy Porter. A lot of people are gay men expressing as GNC for profit and because of a check.
I understand.
And we talk about it.
Yes, but can I tell you my story? Because I understand there's that. But from my life, right, ever since I was very small, that this is that I've experienced. Right, when I was growing up as a child, I remember playing with kids, and if I could just see a corner of my eye hit the mirror, and I see my boy body, I felt what people express as gender dysphoria, like this crippling, that the whole day was fucked up for me.
Yeah.
That's not how I was seeing myself in my mind. And I remember as a little boy clipping in magazines different parts of women that I wanted to be and putting it in a bathtub and doing magic on it like I was on Charm and laying in it, praying that I was going to come out of this tub as this girl. Or until I was about, I don't know, 2 years into college, every night before going to bed, I would reimagine my day as a girl, as a woman. Every day, since I was a little kid, all the way into about college time, I would go to bed and just think about my entire day and how I would have experienced that as a woman and how it would have been better or worse or whatever like that. And that was my experience. And every single boy, they would say, "Who do you want to play?" And I'm like, as a boy, Ken, but as a girl, Chong Li. And I don't know where the part of wanting to transition came in. If I didn't want to do it because of like, you know, lateness of understanding it or whatever, it was like, well, I'm here already, or it's just not that big of a thing for me, or I found that in this way I can express both. Like it's fun. And they're both in me and they're both real. Right? And how I feel about that is real or whatever. And when people say that that's not whatever, I'm like, well, fine. Like, fine. If you don't want it to be part of the trans spectrum, that's all fine. If you don't believe it, this is me. This is really who I am. I'm not gonna push this on anybody, but this is my experience. And in the same aspect of how much I do as much double checking and self-correcting, so I can make sure that there's a safe environment for you and for them, like it should be done for us as well, as everybody as well, because that's how we create a safe environment. We all have to do work. We don't just get to relax and think, well, y'all better respect mine, and that's it. And I don't have to respect any of yours. No, we all have to do the work to get the benefit. We all have to do the work of creating a free society and checking our shit to make it a safe free society. Others do the same for us. So I'm saying, do you, but fight for me to do me, and I will fight for you to do you. You don't have to understand. I don't even want you to understand.
Right.
There's a lot of things out here that I don't understand. I don't need to understand it to respect it and to defend it and to love it. I don't.
Right. I agree.
That's it.
I agree with everything that was said. I feel like you came out as non-conforming on my channel. I feel so flattered. Thank you.
I've never laid out that story about like my childhood and stuff like that. But when people ask me my, you know, pronouns, I say, you know, whichever one you would like. Like I feel comfortable. Even when I was a little boy, and I got these braids to look like I forget that boy from Sister. But anyways, I had little braids.
You talking about Roger?
Yes, to look like Roger.
Yes, you brought it back, bitch.
Yeah, and people would. I was a little girl, and I enjoyed and reveled in that as a little girl at those times. Like I enjoyed and reveled in that, and I actually kept it here until sexual advances started being put on me by men who thought I was a little girl. And I saw at the age of like 8 how violent and scary the world was for a little Black girl. And that's what made me be like, okay, I teach out my hair, grandma. Because like, you know, I'm being
right. That's why a lot of cis women start presenting more tomboyish, especially after sexual assault, because they want to deflect from that male, those male advances. Shasta said, no wonder cis people think trans women are a joke because you have 2 gay men here telling you that they're trans when they clearly look the gender that they were assigned. I don't know who wants to answer that.
Why do you care? Who cares if anybody accepts you? Like, the thing is to create an environment where we can be whatever we want. Nobody has to accept us. The thing is that if you are looking for acceptance from straight people to validate your transness and your identity, then you're never going to get the self-assurance that you want, because the self-assurance has to come from within.
Period.
So she's saying you are a gay man and I'm not. I really don't want to, like, Sasha, you should come into the chat and speak your piece, because reading this is actually like.
But Sasha, people can say that you are confused on the same aspects and grounds that I'm confused.
This is, you know, honestly, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, because I do like GAZI. GAZI is very nice and everything like that. But you know what I'm saying, I do feel the same way in that sense, if you know, and I do feel that way.
With that,
I do feel the same way. Like, you know what I'm saying, like, to chime in on what Ashley was saying earlier, like, this isn't a costume for me. Like, I have to live this every day. Like, the implants are in, honey.
I live it every day too. You know, I live what I live every day too. Just what I live every day.
The implants are in. I can't just turn it on and off. You know what I'm saying? Present as male. This is who I am already. What's done is done.
Out of my control as your transness is out of your control. It's something that's just as out of my control as yours is out of your control.
Yeah, but I can't see what you look like, so I don't know what's out of your control.
I mean, it's just essentially just who shows up is out of my control, and that's just something that people have to accept. Like, we all have different fucking lives, and I never said. I literally said that I don't speak in rooms. I do not speak for trans women. I literally just said I don't. I don't think GYPJAQ said he speaks for trans women either. What I'm saying is that what I am is indeed on the trans spectrum of things. And at the end of the day, if we can align as people who live on that spectrum, we can get more done. And otherwise, what you're spewing is hate. Otherwise, what you're spewing is hate. And otherwise, what you're spewing is the language of the oppressor that to oppress you, which is what GAZI was trying to say. Don't you hear that somebody could dead say that you're confused while you're trying to call us confused? Very clear, using very clear language to describe what it is that we go through and experience. Very clear, understood, vocabulary, so that you can really get what's being said to you instead of just spitting nothing at your ears. But you're hearing it as nothing because you refuse to take off your oppressive blinders that make you feel like you have something to have over somebody, or to think you have something that makes you so different that you can't find a relation to somebody just because we appear different, and just because sometimes I might present something else that makes me a man that I am accepting I am. So for me to be saying that I'm accepting both things that I am is not ever once saying that should ever once invalidate your transness as somebody who is indeed going the whole way.
I'm not there to be there. When I'm at a rally for trans, I'm not there to validate or to ban with that side of the spectrum. I'm there to ban with the transsexual experience. With the transsexual, you know what I'm saying? I really don't give a fuck. I really don't give a flying fuck. At the end of the day, just don't come up to me. Don't come up to me on some I'm a transsexual type vibe. And I get what you're saying. I heard what you said earlier, and I respect that. But just don't say you're one of the girls. And a lot of these people like to be like,
nobody is trying to say that we're trying to get this fight from you. Like, it's this whole
thing. It's not your fight.
Right. Like, what is she talking about?
It's not your fight. That like, oh, this trans movement and this is ours and we're getting this and y'all know, y'all can't have any of this. We're going to get a piece of this pie. We're going to get a piece of this crumb. We're going to get it. Y'all can't have it.
They're going to put all...
But this...
Actually, it's true.
You are not...
All the non-binary people are going to come out and then they're going to be pushed to the forefront. And what's going to happen to transsexual women? They're going to get pushed behind.
Bullshit. If you are really worried about the trans movement and who's going to get what, you should be worried about the white trans motherfucking women that are going to take everything from you and your movement, from your work, everything. It ain't me, ho.
Better work GNC people and two-spirit people.
That are you lining up with and shoulder to shoulder with, that are taking the real big check, that are going to take the platform and leave your colonized ass in the motherfucking street to motherfucking survive. Be worried about them, not me, ho. Not me. I'm actually fighting against them. I'm fighting against them.
Watch, because I didn't call you names. I didn't call you ho.
It's okay.
I'm not your hoe, bro.
You everything. You everything.
I'm not your hoe, bro.
You can't demand that. You can't demand that.
I'm not your hoe, bro. I'm no hoe to you.
You is a hoe to me.
I'm no hoe to you because I don't even know you like that, bitch.
Yes, you are. But so you want respect out of me, right?
You know, I don't need your respect. Right? You're absolutely right, GAZI. You can have that because I don't respect that I don't respect your non-binariness. So
that's fine. I don't respect it. So now look for
if it doesn't.
Oh my God, we are getting
and it's really that.
Let it fly. This is apply to my life.
This is going left field. Okay,
you don't think you started this, Desiree? Like this is all from your design because you like are literally just refusing to accept people's truths as what they are. No one's asking you to join a fight. No one's asking you to diminish your voice by saying this is what you need as a trans woman. No one is saying that this is what you need as a woman that even wants to.
Infinity, if you have something to say, why don't you come in the live? Instead of
she's been here talking. That's Malaysia. So end of the day, like you know what I'm saying. You keep deflecting on top of that because you are refusing growth. That doesn't mean that you got to include other people's stories to your story. Just means that you can say, okay, yeah, that's this person's truth. Cool. That let them live and not add to the destruction and the judgment and the.
I am very disrespectful. Thank you.
I think what happens, I feel like this is a social experiment. To be honest, something that's really true is that, a lot of times we trigger each other and we really need to have more conversations that allow more.
I do have an Instagram, Elena. Hit me up in my inbox. Thank you so much for supporting me. And thank you for the women who do align with my trans views and everything like that. I do thank all of you. And I'm praying for you to infinity. I'm praying that you understand.
I think what happens, I think that people in the chat.
I'm not angry though. The thing is that I'm a pretty chill person. You don't know me in my personal life. And you don't know me in my personal life, and you don't know, like I said, you don't know my trans story, and I don't care to share it with you because it doesn't align with what your struggle is or whatever what you may be going through in your life, and I don't care to share it with you or educate you on those things.
I don't remember asking.
You're a woman, and I don't care to share it with you.
I don't remember asking.
I'm just saying. I'm keeping.
I think what's going on is people in the comments.
At all.
People in the comments are.
I'm here calmly collecting at work right now, and my little family taking care of my patient while she's sleeping.
I think people in the comments are assuming that GAZI and GYPJAQ they have clarified they are not speaking for trans women.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think people are assuming that their experiences are in some way trans women experiences.
I'm not taking it.
And they're not. And that's where the triggering begins. A lot of trans women and transsexuals, they feel like they're being erased. I understand you, but
that's how this woman apparently feel.
Right.
But
wait, you're just continuing the chain of oppression because you want to align with this feeling that there are literally people that are your brothers and sisters talking to you, saying that, hey, with me, you don't have to feel that way, but you're pushing it and making it come to a point where like somebody can't like no longer can have patience and speak to you on a level where they're just trying to reach you and just trying to hold your hand and trying to say, yes, if your story gets told to me, I'm gonna freaking put it out. Why wouldn't I share your story if I'm friends with you on whatever have you? Why wouldn't I retweet your story so more people can know your story? Like, why wouldn't we love each other? Why would we have to then like try to invalidate each other in order to validate your own movement? That's not moving nothing in the kingdom.
I don't really. Like I said, I really don't care. I'm not trying to. I said my feelings on the subject, whatever the case. I really don't have any non-binary friends, to be quite frank with you.
I think that is it's very evident, Desiree. I think that's the issue. And that's not only you. A lot of trans women do not want to be around.
It's not that I don't want to be around them. I've never encountered them.
That don't want to be around trans women.
I've only met one
gender is beneath, their beliefs.
No,
so it works both ways.
I've only met one non-binary person, and that was in a trans group and everything like that. And that's when I was first being introduced to that topic. Or whatever.
I don't really understand what you're fighting for. Like you're saying, when you are at events or you're organizing, you're only fighting. Okay. But like you're only fighting for like the trans community and stuff like that. So what are you fighting for? That you think that
the thing that I want is legalized.
The question, because you don't know.
You asked the question. You said, what am I there for?
Answer. I said, what are you fighting for in your movement revolution that you're visualizing? That what are you fighting for? One, and two, how in any way does non-binary people or non-conforming people can take away from that revolution or movement that you see? Like, to what end, and why does this contradict to that end?
Excuse me?
To what end is your trans movement?
So if you can't, why should I, as a cis woman, fight for the unite with you? I'm not asking you to, though, Kimya Banks.
Control your anger. Are you listening to the question?
I'm not angry. Don't tell me how. I'm not angry. I'm responding. But like I said, when I go to trans rallies, Ashley knows that I'm very passionate about is legalization of sex work. Legalization of sex work is really important for me.
That's all you want.
Because and other stuff for me doesn't really apply to me. I don't have a problem going through bad things. I don't have. Legalization of sex work and more protection, but legalization because that was really that's my experience. I transitioned in sex work.
That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't
really important for me.
That is your one policy, but that is the one policy
that's one thing. Everything doesn't.
That's not even a transition.
I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about that because I don't get caught getting into the bathroom.
Next issue. The trans-related issue. What are you gonna get? What are you gonna get?
Like I told you, I already said my piece. That's what I'm worried about for me.
Sex work.
Yes, that's how I funded my transition, and there still needs to be legalization. And it's still an unsafe environment. It's still an unsafe environment. And the way police treat us in the process, being arrested as a sex worker, it's really tough. It's scary.
They arrested every sex worker.
You know what I'm saying? Have you been a transsexual? Have you been a transsexual sex worker before? Are you a transsexual sex worker? Are you a transsexual? Are you a transsexual? Are you a transsexual? Are you a transsexual in sex work?
Is that what you're saying?
Have you been on the street?
Sex work is not.
Have you been on the streets at 14 years old?
Women.
Have you been on the streets at 14 years old?
Is it just related? Okay.
Have you been there? Have you been there? Have you been there? No.
Sex workers at 14.
Have you been there? No. Have you been there? No.
So can we regroup, please?
I don't have to
feel like
there.
This is like a trauma panel.
That story, bitch. So
okay,
everyone has that story. Everybody can have that story. That is not a specific. That is not a specific.
And yeah, it's a very common story, and it affects a lot of people a lot of trans women of color who are in sex work,
and a lot of women of color who are in sex work.
For real,
a lot of gays, a lot of men who are in color, a lot of non-binary people in sex
Get
work.
out of here.
Okay, so what's gonna be? Desiree, have you said everything that you wanted to say?
I'm calm and collected. I want to let Sasha speak.
Oh, I just feel like this whole.
I'm really excited for Sasha. I'm really excited for Sasha to be
trauma panel. This is like a trauma panel on steroids. Like, I understand, Desiree. You know, you're very passionate about sex work. I understand that. But we're not going to be able to all this back and forth for the remainder of this live. It's like not going to really do any benefit to anyone.
I'm not saying anything. I want to let other people speak.
What else did you want to share? Because I feel like you and Sasha are about to team up, one of three of us.
No, I'm not going to say anything. I'm I'm muting my mic. I want her to speak.
Because this is a shit show.
No. Let me just say this. Non-binary people and
Sasha, please introduce yourself, our Caribbean sister.
Hey guys, I'm Sasha. Nice to meet you guys. I was listening in and out, and you know what? Like, I'm not trying to dismiss your identity. Your identity is yours. We're not saying that, but what I feel non-binary and gender non-conforming people are doing is they're appropriating transgender space. What transgender women are saying is that we are fighting for a lot of laws. Laws recommend being visible at work, being in the bathroom, spaces that we're women that we should identify as, right? So here you have a non-binary person who is speaking on behalf of transgendered women. And it's not fair because you are presenting as male. Ecstatic makes sense. To me, I'm looking at you right now and you are a male with a beard. You cannot say you're trans and then walk around and taking our fucking thing and say, oh, I'm trans, when you don't have gender dysphoria. You don't have gender dysphoria. So you cannot claim something that you're not. Yes, you wanna culture appropriate the trans movement because now the trans movement is going. People are actually start paying attention to it. You can have your own lane. You are non-binary.
You think? Wait! I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear. You think that me or someone like me want to jump on this because it is just a wave right now, and I just want some views on
it is.
Wait.
But this has been my whole life.
That I would want to jump on this just some clicks or some visibility or whatever like that, right? But heighten the fact that now when I walk out of my house, it's going to be more dangerous for me, right? Heighten now, if I get a job or anything like that, I'm exposing myself to get all these things, to be on this magical, filled with gold and milk and honey trans train that is just giving
everything. Once
you get it, once you
disclose that you're
trans, once you say you're trans, it's popular, right? Or is every YouTube channel, every trans YouTube channel popping? Is every trans YouTube channel popping? Yes or no? Is every trans Instagram and Twitter popping? Yes or no? Is every trans famous? Yes or no?
Yes, I do.
Person on a magazine to your lover.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do I what?
Trans women this close to their trans that they love that they're trans and get murdered. When you walk outside, you are read as male. When I walk outside,
not every day.
A woman, and if people misgendered me, then I'm a trans woman. Now my life is in danger. You are a man until you say you are who you are. No one's gonna know that. I'm the walking billboard. You're not the walking billboard, so you cannot.
You have no idea how I walk my life. You have no idea how much of a billboard I am. You have no idea. You don't walk with me. Yeah, we are, because like you're speaking about things you don't know. I never said I was. I don't understand where you're getting that I said I was.
You're not a part of the trans community. You have no gender dysphoria. You present.
You don't know, but you don't know how I deal with my gender dysphoria. You have no idea if I have gender dysphoria. I can't get on camera because of spiritual reasons. I can't get on camera because of spiritual reasons. I can't get on camera because of spiritual reasons. You can go to GYPJAQ.com and go to and see pictures. Go to GYPJAQ.com and see pictures. I present all kinds of ways. I present in a myriad of ways.
Just walking down the street.
Yes, and people try to fight me, and people want to kill me too. I'm walking down the street, no matter what I have on, and when I wear my feminine regalia, I get people trying to fight me too.
Make sure you donate to the Tea Time Network PayPal. Thank you. So Sasha, please let's all calm down. GYPJAQ is not a trans woman. Never said they were. GYPJAQ is two-spirited.
Transgender and trans is short form for transgender. Transitioning from one gender to the next. There's no transition going on here.
That is a very oversimplified definition that is absolutely incorrect. That's an oversimplified definition.
What's the difference?
Transness is a spectrum. Transness is a spectrum. No, I will never in my life say that I'm a trans woman. Excuse me. No.
Because of you privileged people. Think about what you're saying. In 1992, what was it? Was it a spectrum?
Always. Just because white people didn't know what it was doesn't mean.
You were considered androgynous. You were not considered transgender. Stop. Because now it's just a bandwagon. There's an agenda now. You want to jump into the boat. No,
honey.
Where were you?
Way before any of these terms were ever made in English, there were tribes and civilizations in which we existed and had names for and were claimed for. So at the end of the day, just because white America was late and y'all are following white America to define who you are, doesn't mean that at the end of the day we suddenly didn't exist. Just because y'all just got the word 10 years ago doesn't mean that our experiences weren't exactly the same. Yes, I do.
Do you have at the end,
I do. So what's your point? You just don't know how I deal with it. I don't owe you an explanation as to how I deal with it.
Show us your ecstatic. Show us it.
That's not even fair because there's trans people all over the world that can't afford. There's trans people all over the world that can't afford those kinds of changes. So are those not trans people? Wait, let me finish. I'm saying though, there are parts of the world where trans people, right, are either in places where of extreme heightened violence, like the Middle East or something like that, or that they're in extreme poverty where they don't have the resources to transition if they wanted to. Is their trans experience now that's not a real trans experience because they don't have the same access to the resources that you have living in capitalist centrist America rather than the rest of the world? That's what I'm saying. Could you say the same?
That's a lie.
Let me finish.
Nigeria, you're American.
People, I'm saying though,
Jamaican.
Some people will,
women walking around and getting beaten,
and some are not, and some made the decision not to because they're too scared. And some made, not all of them. Are you kidding? There's not people that come out in their 60s and 70s and say that I've been hidden this whole time. So wait, Caitlyn Jenner. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. Like, don't do me, sis. Like, you're not the only one with passport and stamps. Don't play with her. Don't play with her. You get a lot more access than you have. Okay, don't play with her. I've been around. So going to these places, I know that there's people that live in these, that make choices that they're not going to transition until later on or not at all. Just like Caitlyn Jenner that didn't transition until she was 60. Was she not trans before those surgeries? Was she not trans before the wig? Was she not trans before all of that? She was trans before.
Transgender. Okay,
So you cannot say that just because show me how your aesthetic, show me your aesthetic to make that real, as if the aesthetic has to be at the time that you want to present
your
you.
Aesthetic, you have to match how you feel within.
So you weren't trans until you started dressing. You weren't trans until you started dressing as a woman. And you weren't trans before. Then you weren't trans before.
I'm gonna present as a man.
I really think that Sasha, anything else you want to share? I really want to. I don't think this is fair at all. It's a lot of tension. I understand as a trans woman, we're triggered, we're in pain, we're angry, we're frustrated. But GAZI and GYPJAQ are not your targets. They are not the enemy, and I think that's something that
we're not saying that.
But your actions display that you're frustrated with them when they're not the enemy. You know, we need to be having these conversations with the people who are the enemy and that are replacing us, and it's not them. But I understand what you're saying; it's valid.
Yes, non-binary people are replacing us. They are replacing us in jobs and in speaking about trans issues. If you go to any seminars, but if you go to any seminar right now, and they said a trans speaker is coming to speak about transness, who you see there? Non-binary folks. You don't see Black trans women who actually live that.
I haven't seen that often. I haven't seen that.
They are.
But who is putting them there? White queer people.
Excuse me. It's called. You know what that's called? That's called privilege. That's what it's called. I'm more comfortable to sit in a room with a man who looks like a woman versus a man who looks like a man but still identify as a trans person.
Right, and
think about that. What I just said.
White gay corporations, they're the ones doing that.
No, don't blame on white people. Like, we're having a black conversation. We're having a black conversation right now, and a colored conversation. There's no whiteness in here. This is a black conversation, so I don't understand what you're talking about.
Okay, because you're talking about whenever you see some type of seminar, who's behind the seminar? Who's the one booking? Those people are the ones that are placing those people to be the face of trans. It's not the person of color. They're just trying to get a check. It's not the non-binary person of color. It's not their fault that white queer people want to see them as the face of a trans woman.
Are we fighting over a seat at a panel? Is that the struggle right now, to sit at a panel?
No, I'm fighting over women that about our
existence. Is that the revolution? Okay, well, that doesn't change anything. Like, go to your panels, keep talking to these people. It doesn't change anything. Like, we need an actual revolution. We need an actual overturn of power in this system and a replace with a system that's going to represent us. And it's not going to come through your little panels and talking for the Democratic Party and giving them your story about being Black and trans, and so everybody can cry. It's not going to do anything. We're still going to be hunted down by the pigs. We're still going to be bombed and assassinated all over the world for colonialism, capitalism, imperialism. So have your seat at the table and do your little dig and get your $2,000 or $200 or $20 in a meal. Go ahead, sis. That's what you want to fight for. That, and you don't want to fight for actual power, and that's the lifespan you want to give the rest of the 60 or 70 years you have on this planet. Kudos to you. Stop people's shit. Enjoy whatever you can get out of it. But that's it. That's it. That is it. Welcome to the United States of America. That is killing us for a point. And until you do that, you're not changing anything. So with that, I want love you all, but I gotta go. Black power, continue to fight so you can speak for Elizabeth Warren, who's going to imprison your Black ass with her policies when she goes back from the Senate the next day, and keep talking at MSNBC and CNN and just being that vision and telling your story to these white platforms so Coca-Cola can come later and still be colonizing and taking your land and resources. Like, that's the fight. That's that liberal bourgeois fight. Get your book deal, girl, and hood. Black power.
I think any last statements, because this conversation
that turned out greatly.
You said what?
I think that conversation turned out good.
I think that conversation it was, all it showed was division, and it wasn't what was intended.
But you know, Ashley, you already know where most transsexual women and most people feel about the non-binary and the non-gender fluid or queer, and how they feel about that particular group of people. I'm saying most trans women don't wanna be like, don't want to be placed in the same thing, because then, you know what I'm saying, like everybody will think 1 and 2 are the same always. You know what I'm saying? Like they'll place, oh yeah, but you're like that, right? And I'm like, what? No, I'm not like that person.
For me, is you can make your own movements. Don't try to navigate yourself in our movement. Trans women are fighting for women's rights because we're under the umbrella of women. You're not even identifying as no gender. You're not male or female. So why are you under the umbrella of trans? Trans is about from one gender to the next. You're transitioning from one gender to the next. Even if you're a poor trans person living in Nigeria, living in Jamaica, you're going to find something to present your aesthetic like how you feel inside. It's called gender dysphoria. And most non-binary and gender non-conforming people do not have gender dysphoria. So how are you claiming trans spaces when you are not trans? You are walking around with a beard. You look to me like a black man. You don't even know your sexuality. Once you don't open your mouth, no one cannot tell. People can look at me and say, okay, that's a trans girl, or she's trying to be a woman. They're not gonna look at this person and said, oh, that's a trans person and I should not misgender them. That's a confusion. We're trying to make people understand what transgender means, but then we have these non-binary people who are trying to jump into the lane of transness and say we're under the umbrella. And because trans women don't have the ability.
So I think that a lot of people...
Look, let's highlight that comment, Ashley, what Infinity said about Sasha. You know, and like I said, and this is where it goes when you're not in a when you're like you said earlier, like you said, I'm always here for the shit.
Which comment?
No, she scroll up a little bit, because she's saying, oh yeah, that things about Sasha and her transness or whatever the case is. You know,
I don't see it.
And mind you, this is a cis Black woman. Oh wait, I can't call her cis. My bad.
Listen, I don't know what is in the air, but the conversation was not intended to shift the way it did. I really think that a lot of us, we're in pain, we're angry.
Yeah, but if you are trying to debate with trans women,
one thing you can always count.
But you can't lash out all your frustrations with those people that you speak of. You can't just lash out at anyone without knowing their experience at all. Just they were not saying that they were trans at all. They said that GAZI said that he was gender non-conforming. That is not a trans woman.
Why can't this be on the other side?
Stop pretending. What?
They put non-binary and
like right, they put them all. They put them all together. I'm understanding. So have the conversation to show the differences. And if we can't even have a conversation without lashing out, then we're never going to show them that we're different. We're just showing them that we're all the same. We're just a bunch of faggots arguing and screaming and yelling. That's what it looks like. Like, we have to have grown conversations so that we can learn from each other, not just attack, and never like listen and like learn from each other. Like, I just don't know where you know, what is it exactly that you wanted to say? What message did you want to get out there? And then we could just end this, because this conversation it was a shit show. And it's like, what is anyone going to take from this?
I was very angry. I will say that.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, what did you want to leave with? What message did you want to leave with?
The message that I wanted to leave with is that trans women, Black trans women has to face cisgendered women and say, listen, I'm a woman. See me as I am. Yes, non-binary people can say that they're trans, but show me, okay, you said you're non-binary, right? Do you have gender dysphoria? Because the definition that I chose,
but Sasha,
someone with dysphoria,
Sasha, what she's trying, what Ashley Breath was trying to is trying to say
breathe.
Is breathe. Breathe. Can you like stop, bitch?
I can't hear you.
Breathe. I'm
static.
What Ashley is trying to say is this: is that whatchamacallit, GAZI, and what was the other person's name?
GYPJAQ.
GYPJAQ are not whatchamacallit are not non-binary. That one is two-spirited and
okay, if they're non-binary,
sure. Wait, can you listen, Sasha, please? And everything like that, you know, I let you speak while you were speaking, and I just get everything out there clearly, so we're all in a better understanding. What is saying is that GYPJAQ is two-spirited and GAZI is gender non-conforming. And I do understand, like which they are very different from non-binary, right, Ashley?
It's a difference. Yeah,
they are very different. But what I'm saying is, what I'm in a line with is that whatchamacallit is that when people hear those three categories of people, they do think that and transsexualism are just one and the same. And what scares me is to have people like that representing me and speaking for me and my trans experience as a transsexual woman. That is my discrepancy, and that's what makes me very nervous sometimes with situations like that. Like I said, like I don't really care to be friends with GAZI. I don't really give a fuck about Tally Ma on here and a couple of other people that are on here that have their comments, or the other person that the Infinity and everything like that on what she has to say. You know, we're all going to agree to disagree, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a platform like that, like to make a big difference anyway. At the end of the day, my thing that I'm very in band for, as I said earlier, a lot of people feel indifferent. That's fine, you know. And I'm not talking about them specifically. I'm just saying them as a whole. Like, you know what I'm saying? You make all trans women look bad. Bitch, I know nobody's asking you.
Okay, Desiree, anything last that you want to say?
No, really, I don't have to say. I don't want to say anything, honestly. It's always fun to stir the shit, though.
Was that your intention?
No, not at all. I didn't think it was gonna get like this at all. But it just seems to show every time there's a conversation, just
come in and just.
No, bitch. No, not at all. Because that's the same thing that happened when me and Gia had a difference of opinion on something.
Well,
I'm a strong.
Listen,
I'm a strong.
I want to thank GAZI and GYPJAQ. Make sure you follow them. They're amazing. And,
I don't want them.
Not you. I'm talking to people in the chat and the viewers. We're all different, and we're trying to grow and learn from each other, as hard as it may be. Thank you for listening. There should be, if there's 40 people in here, please like this, because when I see that there's no one commenting and liking, it's like, why even go live? I don't know where to go from here, but thank you everyone for listening to the conversation. Use in the comment, use just read. I don't get where did all this shade come from? This comment section is just shady.
You think?
It's like is the Tea Time brand, have we birthed disgruntled people? Like the complaint department. Oh my God.
I think you should hire me to answer your emails. The emails of
oh no, girl. We've had enough. That's oh God. So
I'll check your emails for you.
And I wanted to start 2020 off differently. I did an interview. I don't know if people know about the whole Samantha James situation that happened, where she was her and Elizabeth Liz, they got into altercation, and I interviewed her
when Samantha got punched in the face.
By who?
You didn't know about that? Oh, girl, Google, YouTube it.
Okay.
So I interviewed Liz, and it was just, you know, a lot of people were upset with me because they felt like I was entertaining violence. And I agree, you know, it wasn't what tea time is supposed to be about. This wasn't what tea time is. We're supposed to just have conversations, not argue. This isn't Dr. Phil. This isn't Maury. This isn't Jerry Springer. And it's like, I understand people want to they want to let out their feelings and thoughts, but at the same time, you know, we need to stop like arguing with each other to the point of
it's hard not to argue with each other though sometimes, especially when everybody just
But I apologize for people that were upset about the Samantha James, the Liz interview. I removed it because there's so much that I want to do with the channel that's not about messy stuff. I want to put out great content, and you know, all the shade and stuff, like it shouldn't be to the point of no end where people are leaving the chat angry and upset with fuck that bitch, never again. It's like it defeats the purpose, you know. And Desiree, you were wrong too. You came in with the intention of starting shit.
No, I didn't come in with no intention. I said what I said, and I had my.
You wanted to shake it up.
No. I didn't say that. I said. I see that shit. I said the pot. The shit stirred up when I came in the room when I said what I said. It just seems like because I'm always in strong opinion of something. There's always somebody who's gonna have their feelings.
You came in with a clear target. You said, "Oh, I'm gonna come in."
I didn't actually. Don't do that, girl. Because I did not come in with a clear target. You had a topic, I had a fucking opinion, and I said my fucking opinion. Whether people chose to fucking like it, whether you didn't like it or anybody didn't like it, I don't really give a fuck. I said what I said, and I said my truth and how I felt about the situation. I'm not gonna backtrack on how I feel. If people are sensitive about how the fuck I feel, I really don't give a fuck.
Okay. Now you want to come at me, girl.
No, I'm not coming at you. You're my sister. I'm just letting you know. I said what I said, and that's what I said. That's it. I didn't come here to stir this shit, Miss Thing. At the end of the day, I said what I said, and it upset people. But it was it's a thing that often is in the back of a lot of trans people's heads, transsexual women's heads, and they don't want to say it because they don't want to offend people. There's a difference between a pleasing a person and respecting a person.
Okay.
And a lot of people do that. A please.
Someone said Desiree's about to take her lashes off and box Ashley.
I would never fight Ashley. I love Ashley, and let everybody on this panel know that I have a history with this girl. And when I tell you, when I went on Tea Time with the girls, and the first 2 times that I was on there, and every time that the one person who always made me feel comfortable and always made me feel accepted, being plus size and being trans, was Ashley. Because I was mostly the only plus size Latin girl on the panel. And you believe it or not, but in a room full of skinny trans women, trust me, don't think that it was all hunky dory all the time that we were on that panel, me and Miss Ashley, because we did suffer a little bit of part. You know how, I guess, what do you call that? Like that high school sitting at the table, like when, you know, one person goes here and one person goes there. We did suffer.
Right. Yeah, we have a lot. There's a lot of trauma and unaddressed aggression that we face that we don't. That's why I think moving on for anyone, when you feel a way about something, speak up. Don't hold it in. Don't, because you'll hold on to that for years and lash out at all these different people when you should have lashed out at that one person that did you wrong. Then, yeah, Kamaya, I hope the next conversation doesn't go. Honey, if y'all want, y'all can donate in the super chat, because I wanna have more conversations together in person. This video chat stuff, things get misconstrued easily when we're looking at comments.
You know what we should do? We need
need coin to do anything.
No. Like I said, I don't. Whatchamacallit? How about this? Remember the studio that we used to go uptown to, or whatever.
We'll talk another time. I don't want to. This is hitting 3 hours. Desiree, we'll speak later on. Okay.
I'm willing to put up the coins to have a sit down.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to. I wanted to know, like, if people. I wondered if anyone would donate for a tea time with the girls. To bring it back. If there are people that actually, thank you, Kylie, that means so much. I wonder if there's people who actually
How much was the studio that we used to go to uptown?
They wanted a lot because you run by the hour. So for people that don't know, is that we everything costs, even to get someone to show up. There are people who have to travel from one place to another. I know you come from Queens to Manhattan, like it's a lot. Like people think that it's just we're all just showing up and everything's great. It's a lot that goes into it. But
you want to know something? Ashley, honestly, you said they rent by the hour, right? Instead of doing that, why don't we or I, because I found some really good.
I don't want to have those kind of conversations on public because I don't want like people that want to try to harm us to know anything.
But what I'm saying is this: there are some Airbnbs at a really good price.
Okay, girl, we'll talk about stuff like that another time. I don't want anything to, put girls in harm's way. And people know, oh yeah, I know the studio that y'all tape at. I'm gonna show up and knock Desiree out.
Girl, you know how many girls probably want to attack me, which I'm gonna call it from being on your fucking panels.
Anyways, everyone, enjoy your night. Thank you so much. Like I said, y'all seen all this play out. You can't make it up. This is what you get when you're uncensored, unscripted, and to the point where there needs to be more structure. And I apologize for people that I apologize to GAZI and GYPJAQ as well, because I should have muted people. I should have kicked people out. But at the same time, I don't want to silence my trans sisters. But at the same time, it's like there needs to be structure. So next episode, next live, I'm going to have it together. Love you all so much. Enjoy your night. Goodbye.